What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bert's Corner, aka for a segment of the Brett the Hitman Wrestling Reviews with a brand new segment that we are going to do once a month. And yes, I did say we because I am joined by a very hardcore fanatic wrestling fan, my boy, Robbie Sobel. Robbie, how are you doing today?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you for putting this together. You couldn't have picked a better time to kick off a wrestling show than post WrestleMania. We're gonna,
Mhm.
get this ball rolling and really just take this month by month as we get into hopefully, the next WrestleMania season. There's gonna be ups and downs. There's gonna be stuff that we like, that we love, and stuff that we probably don't like and that we hate. But we'll get to everything, and it's gonna be a real good time.
Hey, absolutely it is. I couldn't say that better myself. I knew I picked the right partner for this. So I'm glad you messaged me saying, "Hey, you just want to do something wrestling related?" I'm like,
It,
"Frick yeah!" So like, I'm so excited for that. So yeah, welcome to this is our opening bell where we're just kind of shooting the shit a little bit, just seeing how everybody's doing, and then saying hello to people in the chat, like our life in horror. What's going on there, Sam and Brandon? I was just on the channel with them. They
Sweet.
are amazing, and I think you should check out their work. They do a spectacular job. But better yet, their personality is great on the screen.
Well, I'll definitely have to check them out for sure. Looking forward
Yeah,
to it.
absolutely. So, welcome our life in horror. And we also got Gory Tiger. What's going on there, Gory? How are you doing? Hopefully, all is going well with you. And just this is our debut episode, so I kind of figure, why should you listen to us? What makes us a different kind of wrestling fan than other wrestling fans that you all probably hear countless times? So, we're going to give you a little bit of this time to kind of get to know us with two questions. And the first question is going to be, what got us into wrestling and how long we've been watching wrestling. So, Robbie, how long have you been watching wrestling and what necessarily got you into professional wrestling?
Well, what got me into it is as a young kid, I lived in a big apartment building. So a couple of the friends that I had were a little bit older than me. They were into wrestling. So just by hanging out with them, playing with the action figures, watching the wrestling on a Saturday morning, that kind of brought me in. Now, as far as how long, I put it back to summer of 1988.
Damn.
So we go back a long way. The first major angle that I can remember watching as a kid was the team of Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man Randy Savage, the Mega Powers. They were a
Yeah.
team at this point. This was a few months after WrestleMania 4. Macho Man had won a tournament to become the WWF champion at the time. Hulk Hogan was his buddy. They teamed up and united as the Mega Powers, and their
Hmm.
feud at the time was against the Million Dollar Man and Andre the Giant. And I remember being a young kid, like around 4 years old, watching this, vivid memories of it. And they looked like superheroes and comic book characters that were on the screen, but they
Hmm.
weren't cartoons. They just were regular, normal people, just kind of jacked up. So it really got my attention. And the first wrestler that I became like a super fan of was actually Bret the Hitman Hart. He was in a tag team at the
Yes.
time, the Hart Foundation. I still at that when I was younger, the first piece of memorabilia that I had was the silver Bret the Hitman Hart shades that he would wear.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's kind of where my fandom started. In the first wrestling show that I ever went to was May the 10th, 1991, Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York. And some of the wrestlers that I was able to see that night, it's just amazing that I can kind of reference back to it. Hulk, Ultimate Warrior and The Undertaker against each other in a body bag match. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig and the Texas Tornado in an Intercontinental title match.
Hmm.
Got to see a battle royal in one of Andre the Giant's last matches.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, he passed away about 2 years later. So just to be able to see some of these all-time greats that created my fandom as a kid, and that really only grew as time went on. And it's an interesting thing because I don't know how it is for you, but as we got a little older, once we got to 10, 11, 12, and we kind of figured it out that wrestling was a show,
Hmm.
people went one of two ways. Either they went one direction and said, "Oh, this is phony nonsense. This is ridiculous. If you watch this, you're a loser." Or the other people went, Oh, you mean so like this is a show, so they're putting all this together, and these are all characters that are created, and they have to figure out all these stories like they would on a TV show, and so they're working together to do all these moves and make them look real but not hurt each other. Like, that's really interesting. Like now I
Mhm.
really want to watch this more. Now I have an interest. Well, these people are going away from it. I'm diving deeper. And it was around that time that the internet popped off. There was AOL in 1996, 97. So I'm on there reading some of the early dirt sheets, getting into message boards and getting involved in tape trading, where I was able to get a lot of older wrestling that I wasn't able really to watch much outside of my mom going to the video store and getting me a lot of videotapes, the WWF and WCW stuff.
Same here.
And that's kind of the fandom really just grew from then, and it just never stopped. It was just a snowball that continuously picked up speed. I had two snowballs. I had a wrestling snowball and a horror movie snowball, and they have rode next to each other and built up speed for nearly 40 years. And here we
Just
are.
hopefully not an avalanche.
Well, maybe we'll get there, but so far we're in the clear.
Hell yeah, buddy. And dude, that's why I got Robbie on the show. That passion right there. Because so I can bounce off like my wrestling opinions. And I'm sure we're gonna have different wrestling opinions, especially when we get to a
I would hope
particular
so.
topic. Yeah, especially when we get to a particular topic. I think you know which one because we talked over the weekend on it. But
Yes,
what
indeed.
got me into wrestling was in 1998, or well, really 97. My brother and his buddies were watching WCW, and that's when I was watching, Sting and Hulk Hogan, with just a crow's Sting during that time. And then I was just kind of just flipping through channels, and then I saw Stone Cold Steve Austin hit Dude Love. Oh Lord, have mercy! Hit Dude Love with a freaking chair, and I was hooked right then and there. And then, of course, I saw this little motion, not sure what the hell that meant as a 7 year or as an 8 year old kid, but I soon learned about it later and I got grounded for it. But other than that, though, I was just obsessed. So, kind of like you said, the show aspect of the wrestling world, even though when I grew up, I kind of like more the technical side of wrestling now.
Yeah.
Even though, but that was during like probably my upper teens and my lower 20s. And then it was
Yes.
sort of like around my mid 20s to now, I really want stories to go into my matches. So that's how, and again, been a wrestling fan since 1990, technically 97, but I think I really, just because I discovered myself, since 1998. So I'm about to come up, what, 40 years into watching wrestling?
You know what? We're gonna give you 1997 because that's my favorite year in wrestling.
Okay, and I do
Um,
not blame you for that with the
t-
Montreal screw job and
yeah. Well, I mentioned being a big Bret Hart fan, and to me, his work that year was fantastic as a heel. WWEF at the time was really coming off some down years. 92,
Mhm.
93, the post Hogan era, the steroid trial. They were really
Right.
trying to figure out their identity, and they were struggling. Ratings were bad, attendance were bad. If you look at some of the pictures of the early years of Monday Night Raw, they were in a lot of times like high school gyms and things like that, which
Mhm.
is so
Especially
different than what we.
Manhattan.
Yeah, but even worse than that you
Mhm.
know um but WCW was on fire, and in March of 97, by accident, I was going through the channels and I didn't realize that I had the channel in New York that played ECW every single week, and I think that's
Mhm.
a good segue into the first topic that we're going to
Yeah.
be going along.
Yeah, and I think that I agree with you. That'd be an excellent segue. And we're going to give you more about ourselves and our journeys to wrestling. I'll explain a little bit more towards the end of the show, where we're going to be opening up to a feature segment called the mail segment, meaning we answer questions from the audience. If
Perfect.
they want to ask us questions more about our background in wrestling or what our favorite wrestling matches are, and vice versa, we will give you the opportunity. But with the first one, we kind of want you to get to know us and kind of the concept of our show. If you all are sports fanatics, you should know what PTI is, which is part of the eruption. As you kind of see on these right there, with all of our, oh, it's StreamYard, you got to do the opposite. There you go. There you go. I know it takes a minute, but I've been doing it for 5 years and I still mess up. But yeah, so you see on Robbie's right there that we got topics that we will be covering. If it's yellow, that's currently the segment that we are on. If it's dark, that means we've already passed that segment. You need to rewind it if you're watching after the fact to get to the segment that kind of pertains to you. And so that's kind of there. Where right before we dive in, I got a couple more people who joined the chat. We got Brother Fluff. What's going on there, Brother Fluff? How are you doing? Saying hoping to see you next month at Spooky, Robbie.
I think I'll be able to arrange that. I
Nice.
got to see him at Spooky a couple years back, and we ran into
Lee.
Otis,
Oh,
Otis and Rockstar Spud, otherwise known as give me his name, the young guy, the little guy in NXT.
Zawa. Oh no, the young
He'll tell us. He'll tell us. I'm
Brother.
remembering it from his TNA name.
Are we talking about Tucker? Like Tucker?
No, no, no.
Okay.
He'll tell us.
Yeah, Brother Fluff, help us out with that one. So, Brother Fluff, what's going on? We got Miss Carter. What's going on there, Miss Carter? She loves professional wrestling, and we are happy to have you here. And then we got my buddy Cole from high school. What's going on there, Cole? How are you doing? Saying horror and wrestling sounds like a pretty cool cage match to me. Yeah, that would be an awesome cage match.
Drake
And
Maverick.
it's Drag Maverick. Yeah, I remember that little bastard. Um, so, which, yeah, the NXT thing he did was awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
So, oh, and that's the other thing. Before we truly get started, we are mostly basing it on WWE. If there is a big AEW topic, which I'm sure AEW will give us free things to talk about because that's how they work. They love to be talked about in bad ways. We will cover it, but most part, we are a WWE channel. That doesn't mean that we hate AEW. I hate AEW. Robbie, I'm not sure how you feel about it.
They're in the
Uh,
mud. They're right in the mud.
yeah, right in the mud. But here's the deal. Also, if there's something good AEW's doing, we'll give knowledge to that. But right now, just shit.
Yes.
So Tony Khan quit booking. So let's get to Sabu. But before we get to Sabu, let us know: are you excited for Ring the Bell? Ding, ding, ding. Are you excited for it? Is there any suggestions you would like to give to make this show better? And also, what do you think about our topics? Let us know in that comment section down below because just leaving a simple comment helps the algorithm and us to defeat the algorithm. Or in this case, since it's a wrestling show, we're going to wrestle with that algorithm and hopefully we can put them in a nice jackhammer. So let's go ahead. I was supposed to have the bell ding 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 right now, but I do not have that because I am unprofessional that way. Not as unprofessional as Tony Khan, but still unprofessional. So I
That's
will
right.
fix that for the next episode. So let's get to it. Topic number one. We got to get to our boy Sabu, who sadly passed away on May the 11th, so 2 days ago. And he was 60 years old. That's what's crazy to me. He was 60 years old. And what? He only had his last retirement match a couple of days before his death as well.
It was about a month. It
So
was about a month ago. Yeah.
about a month ago, yeah, I remember reading something into that. So it's just crazy that he got his last match, last Raw, and then he passed away. So it's sad to hear that. But I want to ask you, Rob, because you wanted to bring it up. Any words about Sabu?
I remember when I first heard about Sabu. Wasn't on TV. Wasn't watching any matches. It was in the early '90s. Every month you'd go to the supermarket, and occasionally you'd be lucky enough to buy one, or you just read through them. The old wrestling magazines. Pro Wrestling Illustrated was a huge magazine that everybody would read at the time. And then they had kind of sister publications, Inside Wrestling and The Wrestler, and mostly black and white. But they covered not just WWF and WCW at the time, but all kind of the independent promotions and like the last days of the territories. So for a lot of us pre-internet, that was the only way we were able to really get an idea of wrestlers outside of the big major promotions. And every month you would see something with Sabu in there because he was so unique and different than anything else that was really going on, not just in the independent scene, but especially what was going on WWF and WCW at the time. Especially in the early 90s when we talked about before, WWF and WCW were kind of struggling with their identity. Business
Mhm.
was down. Wrestling, like a lot of things, is very cyclical. And in that kind of Hulkamania era, that post WrestleMania boom that happened through the 80s, once that died out in the early 90s, wrestling was struggling. And what was seen in WWF and WCW was not really scratching the itch for a lot of fans. So they try to reach out and find that elsewhere. And a good way to do that was looking at these magazines and seeing what else could be around maybe in their area or whatnot. And that's when I would first see Sabu, this guy jumping off the rope through tables. He'd be wheeled out to the ring on a stretcher, and he'd have like a Hannibal Lecter type mask on his
Yeah,
face.
I remember
Like
that.
this was just really wild stuff. And his first real exposure came after he did Japan and he worked smaller territories. It was when Paul Heyman started up ECW, and it was even before it became Extreme Championship Wrestling. It originally was just Eastern Championship Wrestling, a small independent territory with the NWA.
Hmm.
And he was trying to mold it into his vision and break away and start his own independent promotion. And Sabu was one of the cornerstones of that, and he
Hmm.
would be until the promotion folded out in early 2001.
Hmm.
He was so unique, so interesting to watch, and even until his later years, he was kind of a must-watch novelty. And it's a damn shame that he ended up passing away.
Yeah, it's just again it's sad because my first my kind of introduction to Sabu was through an action figure where he kind of had the towel, he had the green pants on, which that's the thing with Sabu.
I had it. Yeah.
Always the traditional green pants. He always loves to wear that or the gold pants too, just whichever. It's like, all right, I'm about to jump into some barbed wire. I better wear my green pants today.
Yep.
But yeah, just to see like the scratches and everything on the toy, I was like, man, this guy really has gone through some shit.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
then when I got older, then there comes ECW One Night Stand from 2006. Set my first Sabu match. I actually watched live, like on pay per view and all that.
Mm.
Sabu versus Rey Mysterio, where he did
Great.
that table spot, and I was like, God, this guy's fucking nuts.
Hmm.
Nothing compared to actually the film that I actually did get to watch a Sabu match. It's like, oh my god! But I could just tell immediately, though, how important he was at that time, or just during the time of ECW, how important he was to the wrestling business for being like that, kind of like the poster child in a way of what hardcore wrestling is about. So just with Sabu in general, like I know just him doing all those bumps and everything and the barbed wire, the blading. I just know it was not easy on his body. That's probably why he passed away at 60 because it just took such a toll. Just know,
Hmm.
Sabu, we appreciate everything you've done, not just with WWE, but just in the world of professional wrestling. And I just know deep down you're going to be missed.
Absolutely, 100%. If people want to Google them, if there's specific matches that you might want to check out from the earlier days in
And I was
ECW.
actually getting ready to mention that because what is your favorite Sabu match? I kind of gave my way with the Rey Mysterio match, but what is your favorite Sabu match? And I'm going to turn on my fan real quick.
Well, there's a few I think that I'd recommend people to check out. He had a great feud through 1996 and into middle of 97 with Taz. They were one of the big main events at ECW's first pay-per-view, Barely Legal. It
Hmm.
was an incredible, incredible match, an incredible feud, maybe even more than the match. These guys came into ECW together in 1993, and there was kind of a lot of tension over the years, and it kind of came to a head at the pay per view. So I'd recommend Taz and Sabu at Barely Legal. I'd also recommend a few months later and Sabu and Terry Funk. They fought
Hmm.
for the ECW title in a match they dubbed "Born to Be Wired." It was a barbed wire match where they actually had to kind of stop the match and have people come in with wire cutters and cut the barbed wire out because they got intertwined with each other
Oh my God.
after going through a table. Sabu did a lot of cool stuff with the Sandman. They did a match at the November to Remember 1997. It was called the Stairway to Hell match, and it was a ladder match, but instead of grabbing a title, you grab barbed wire from it.
Oh, okay. And you
And
get to use it on your opponent?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, and they used tables and chairs. It was almost like it was TLC. It was a more hardcore version of TLC before TLC was a thing.
Oh, okay.
And there's something interesting I want to point out about Sabu, that people use as a criticism for him, but I don't think it should be. A lot of his matches look kind of clunky, look a little careless. He's not very crisp in a lot of his moves, but
Hmm.
I think that was done on purpose. And if it wasn't done on purpose, I think it added to his style, which was a kind of a reckless style. A guy like that, who his nickname was homicidal, genocidal, suicidal.
Suicidal,
He's
death
doing
defying.
all of this stuff. So to have a lot of his moves kind of come across, maybe like they kind of look like a little botch, and they're not connecting as
Yeah,
well. And
unorthodox.
and yeah, and they're not as crisp. But that's what Sabu was. He wasn't a crisp professional wrestler where he
Hmm.
was trying to land everything perfect. He was just gonna come at you like a missile, and if he landed a little bit off, then oh well, it is what it is. But he's a very unique wrestler, and for anyone younger that didn't get a chance to watch him, YouTube is free. And
Hmm.
just Google him up. There's a lot of cool stuff, and kudos to WWE and a lot of the former wrestlers who came out and really praised him across social media. And,
Hmm.
they did a really good job with that, and I know Michael Cole and Pat McAfee had some nice words on Raw last
Hmm.
night about that as well. So,
And so
R.I.P.
did
Sabu.
yeah, and so did Karrion Cross and CM Punk. Like
Yep.
Karrion Cross during a pre-tape, like which the match before Raw kicks off, he did, of course, that, and then CM Punk did that as well along.
Yes.
And he also they what they did as well. I saw an article where Sabu actually talked about John Cena, saying that
Yes.
I had all this bad things about John Cena. Don't work with this guy. Then when I got in the ring with him, pure professional. So Sabu
Yes.
talking about one of the goats of professional wrestling, John Cena, which we'll get to that here soon. About one Mister John Cena. But yeah, like you said, Sabu, you're going to be truly missed. And Robbie, let's do it real quick. Let's do our tribute to Sabu. Yeah, God, I'm gonna miss that so much. Sabu, rest in peace, my friend.
Absolutely.
So it would be great too in the comic section if you all can just do rest in peace Sabu, because I think that would be nice to do. So let's see here. Let's do our next topic here. We had Backlash this past weekend on Saturday. We had Backlash in St. Louis, Missouri, and we had five matches on the board there. And Robbie, I was just going to ask you at first overall thoughts about Backlash, because certainly you and I have a little bit of a different opinion on what Backlash was.
I think Backlash over delivered from what the expectations were, considering the card itself, the individual matches, and just the show in general. Um, it's the follow up from WrestleMania, and typically a show like a Backlash. Back in the day, WWE used to have the in your house shows. They were kind of the fill in pay per views
Mhm.
between the real big shows. So you would have your Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Back then, it was King of the Ring was the fifth. Now it's really more like Money in the Bank,
Right.
and any of the other shows in between were kind of just filler shows, and you'd have some cool stuff happen, but it was the expectations for those shows are not the same as some of the other bigger shows, especially when you're following right after a WrestleMania. It's kind of like a cool down period. So
Hmm.
the expectations for a Backlash aren't too high. And I think when you put together that card that they did, there's no CM Punk, there's no Seth Rollins, you don't have Jey Uso just won the world title, things like that. So some of these big stars aren't even on the show.
Hmm.
So and now, really, since Triple H has kind of become like the full time booker over these last 2 or 3 years, whatever it may be,
Hmm.
we're not getting 9 and 10 match shows anymore. He's really doing it the way he did when he was running NXT, which is quality over quantity. You know,
Exactly.
you're getting 5 match PLEs, outside of the big major ones. And they're just going to try to focus on putting on good quality matches in the ring that are one way or another advancing the stories. Is Backlash an all-time pay-per-view that we're going to go back and say, man, you know what was one of the best pay-per-views I ever saw? Backlash 2025. No, it's not. But I thought it was a good show, and from the expectations going in, it was a pleasant surprise.
Hmm. And this is where we're going to go different. But before we go different, I always got to say hello to my boy Fachi from Fachi Cinema. What's going on there, Matt? Saying what's going on, Brett the Hitman Hart and Heartthrob Robbie. Hey, that's a good
Yep,
wrestling name for you.
that's about right.
Hell yeah. And then Fachi, I'll just call you the fire starter for a wrestler because you're just so freaking fire on your content.
Mhm.
But no, you said it was a good pay per view.
Yeah, not great, good.
I just I find it meh. Like, I just meh. Like, I just expected for it to be a B pay per view, and honestly,
I'm
kind of
surprised by
delivered
that.
to me like a C plus pay per view. I'm not sure if I just wasn't feeling good because I could just tell a lot with some of these matches. I was kind of on my phone, and when that happens, that's not good. Except for maybe two matches in particular, I was not doing that with. That was the Fatal Four Way match and the Women's Intercontinental Title match, where I
Yeah.
wasn't on my phone as much. But overall, yeah, I just find it just meh. But
Okay.
again, it's after WrestleMania where I just
Mm.
wasn't expecting them to go hard or build an excellent card or anything like that. Just, just some of the feuds that we got going from WrestleMania. Let's just try to find some of the conclusions for
Yeah.
them, which I'm sure that we're just getting started with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, which I thought honestly they should have just been a one-off deal and then just let McIntyre go back to the main event scene. Which kind of hard to do that with Cena as your WWE champion right now on SmackDown
And I think that's why they're moving along and keeping him where he is because
in the United States picture.
yeah, I think the plan is they're gonna push Drew into that main event spot, but they can't do it right now.
Hmm.
So what are you gonna do with him? Maybe you just kind of push along him and Priest, just kind of kick that can down the road a little bit. I thought
Right.
I thought that opening match four way for the the U.S. title was very well done,
Hmm.
and there's you have two or three different things that are happening in that match storyline wise, and I think it was all placed well. So you get Drew Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, then you
The
have
table
Jacob.
spot.
Yeah, and Jacob Fatu uh, in there as well in with LA Knight in the four way. Now, when I'm thinking about this, I'm like, okay, well, you want to. We knew Jacob was going to go over. He's a monster. He's not losing that title for a while. He's going to be a bulldozer through, kind of that middle card, upper middle card.
Right. And
Now you,
an eventual feud with Solo Sokola, because we obviously know
yes,
that's where it's going.
exactly. So you want to protect him, but at the same time, you want to make sure you protect Drew. And if he's in a program with Damian Priest, you have to protect him and get these guys kind of off on their own. And they did that in this big table spot that happened. And by
Which
having this
it
big,
turned out, which started to cut you off, it turned out to be where Drew McIntyre kind of missed the table a little bit and got injured. Which
he
I
did.
noticed that the first time it happened, I was like, oh shit, Drew McIntyre's hurt.
Yeah, but that was a good spot to do because now you take those two and now they're away. They're not going to look bad part of this finish.
Hmm.
And LA Knight's a solid worker. He's a good middle card guy, but you got to kind of move him past this a little bit, I think. And I think they did it in a way that kind of protects him still because we get the big debut of Jeff Cobb, who has been working in New Japan for the last couple of years. He's a very good worker. He kind of looks like a like he could be the son of Rhino. Uh Even like his body, he's got like a square body. It's weird. He's very like thick in this area. But he's
So he's
very
kind of like
athletic.
Rhino and Otis had a baby.
Yes. Now the thing, by having him come in and keeping and causing Jacob to win, that gives an
Hmm.
excuse for why LA Knight loses. So it kind of protects him, like 'cause so he didn't take a clean pin. But at
Right.
the same time, you see Jacob is unaware that this was going to happen. He's not happy that Solo brought somebody in to help him cheat to win. So
Hmm.
now you have Drew and Damian separated in this match away from what's going on. So they're protected in their own program. You have LA Knight taking the pinfall due to outside interference. So he can kind of use that as his excuse to protect him and not kind of hurt his brand. And
Hmm.
at the same time, it pushes the dissension between Solo and Jacob. And you have a new kind of character in this mix, which this kind of bloodline feud that's still continuing desperately needs.
Hmm.
And so it kind of worked. There's a lot of different things which were going on, and I think it worked well.
Yeah, and it did work well. But here's the thing, though, with me, Jeffrey Cobb's not a Samoan. So what's he have to do? Why is he involved with the bloodline? If then it kind of made sense earlier from some researching and everything. Jeffrey Cobb and Jacob Fatu have had a feud outside of
Yes.
WWE, so they're gonna
Yes.
just revisit all that, and I think that's awesome. But again, it's just back to that thing. Samoan, like that's the big thing with the bloodline. Even though the problem with it is, it's just they're hurt right now with the Tonga brothers are
Now,
each in with their own injuries.
do you think they're just going to be moving away a little bit from the bloodline and just intertwining characters who are not Samoan?
Well, technically, I think from my understanding, technically the bloodline is really done. Like they're not really
Yeah.
being called the bloodline anymore. So you really just now think about it, it kind of actually does make sense for Jeffrey Cobb to finally get put in with this.
Yeah.
But I just again, I've kind of ruined when I heard that he kind of looks like Rhino. So that's all I'm picturing. It's just him doing a gore. And I've only seen him wrestle one time in AEW in a kind of like an audition match or something, which they didn't sign him.
I've seen him.
Um,
I've seen him in New Japan for the last couple of years, a bit.
mhm.
He can work and he can go, and he's gonna put together some really solid matches with Jacob. They're gonna
Yeah,
kill it.
and of course, I think they're going to feed him LA Knight first because I think that has to be the first logical
Yes.
opponent.
Yeah.
But and here's my thing because LA Knight, he's still super over with the crowd, and for some reason, he's just not getting the main event push that we all thought he was going to get. And
Mm.
what he's like 42, 43 right now.
Yeah, I think that's where he's
He's
gonna stay. I think
yeah,
he's
so
staying
he's
where he is.
yeah, so he's getting there. So it's time to it's like, are we ever going to put the rocket behind this guy's back? And I
Right.
think the way you can actually fix that right now, and I haven't heard much of it yet, but I'm sure it's going to come sooner or later. We're going to be having ourselves a draft.
Yes,
And
you
I
got to move.
think, and we'll do a feature game on the draft and everything of who should go where. But I truly think, and this is a little spoiler in advance, I think LA Knight needs to go to Monday Night Raw and be the world champion.
I don't know. See, I agree that he needs to go to Raw, but I think what they're doing now with that title, I don't see anybody else outside of that circle with that story getting that belt. I think
Mhm.
on Raw, I think you're gonna have Seth Rollins. I think is gonna go over Jay. I think
Oh
he's gonna
yeah,
get that
eventually.
eventually. And my prediction now is you're gonna end up seeing Sammy fight for that all year, and I could see Sammy winning the Rumble. It's in
Oh
Saudi Arabia.
yeah.
It's in Saudi Arabia. Um, so imagine him win
Vegas,
the.
I'm already making the bet because that is freaking excellent. I didn't put those two together. That's the perfect time to let Sami Zayn
Yeah, he's
win.
gonna win the
Even though
Rumble.
the problem with that is I've been hearing little rumors that he's going to go towards the dark side here soon.
Possibly. I mean, there's a lot
And
of
that'd
ways.
be a great story between him and Jey Uso. Instead of Jay being the heel and Sami being the good guy, it's now Jay being the good guy and Sami being the heel.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because if Jay stays on Raw and you have that kind of program going, at some point Cody's gonna get is gonna be matched up with Cena, right?
Right.
He's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
get
like we're expecting it.
yeah, yeah, he's got to get his win back there at some point. So
Hmm.
I can see summer WrestleMania being where Sammy gets that belt from Rollins. They're really
Yeah.
going to push this faction, this new Heyman faction with him. And once he
Hmm.
gets that belt off of Jay, which you have to get him off him eventually, the money's in the heel, I
Hmm.
think, and the babyface chasing that.
Yeah.
Um, especially with Braun Breaker, who I think is a great enforcer type.
He's the future.
Yeah. So I think I just don't think there's a spot for LA Knight in the world title scene over there. But I can
Hmm.
see him in like in the Intercontinental scene at some point.
Right. And he does need the Intercontinental title, in my opinion, in the future on that. But sorry to go way outside the circle
Yeah.
of Backlash right there. Is there? I'm trying to say this to the Cena part of like Cena versus Orton. Is there anything you want to mention real quick about the ever matches?
Um, Becky Lynch, Lila Valkyrie, I thought it was a solid match. Um, I think it was the right result. I didn't want Becky getting that belt right away.
See, that's where I go against that. I actually wanted Becky Lynch to win the IC Women's title so we can start increasing the prestige of the
Mm.
IC Women's title, and a feud between and a heated feud between Bailey and Becky would have done great things for the title.
I think what they're doing is that they really want to push these younger people. And
Oh yeah,
if you put the belt on Becky and she feuds with Bailey, then it would really be like, well, they were doing this 5 years ago. Like we're trying to push these younger people along.
right.
So I
That's
think
fair.
yeah, I think that's why they want to do Becky, like Becky and Lyra or whoever. Just like last night on the main event of Raw, you
Which is a
had
good main event, by the way.
yeah, you're bringing up young talent to work with some of these older ones. So I don't think we're gonna get a lot of feuds of the old guard against each other,
Hmm.
or anything long term, because they're trying to use them to rub off that star power on the younger people.
Right.
And Becky's whole shtick now as a heel, she's blaming the fans. A lot of her interviews are, I don't care about these young people. Blah, blah. So by having her lose, you can kind of increase that bitterness and build
Hmm.
it up more to where she's eventually going to win one of these titles. But
Right.
it's just we're not there yet. She just got back, and if anyone's really been paying attention to how Triple H has been booking, he books long term. He doesn't really
Long
do
term.
any, for the most part, he doesn't really hot shot stuff. Maybe a little with the tag titles because no one really cares, unfortunately.
That
It's
could
too
be a
much stuff.
whole nother topic like for
Yeah,
next month. That's that damn tag team division.
yeah. But I think with the direction that they're trying to go storyline wise, I can see why they kept the belt on her.
Okay, and you kind of won me over on that one. Plus, like, it would be great to have like Lyra and Roxanne, Julia, all feuding for the IC Women's title. That would be a great exposure for them.
Yeah,
The other quick thing I want to just bring light on because in regular Intercontinental match, Dominic, that was just a good match.
yeah. It was good. It
But
was short, 10 minutes. Solid match.
didn't need to be anything special. But
No, Penta's can really work. He's really popular, but he just got there. You're not putting the belt on him now. Dom is so over, and he's keeping that belt until we can really get him in a program one on one with Finn Balor when Judgment Day fully implodes. Um, that's going to be a really good match. I love the story,
Mhm.
and I can't wait till Liv comes back because she's the one out of this whole group. She's the most important one out of any of them, even if she
Yeah.
doesn't wrestle, because she's the character that kind of twists the needle
Hmm.
and is kind of pulling these layers apart at the Judgment Day so it can completely crumble. And you can tell that the other guys are trying to fight to keep it together. Specifically, Finn, who for months now, his whole deal is he wants to have a title for himself. He wants to be
Right.
the face of this whole thing, but nothing is ever going his way. And Liv is very sarcastically kind of just taking shots at him, and Finn can't say anything because that's Dom's girl, right? And
Right.
he wants to keep this foundation together. So it's him boiling up. At some point, that will totally implode, and there's going to be a massive turn one way or another, and we're going to get a really hot Dom and Finn angle.
Yeah, and here's I'll be honest with you too. Do you know who I think's just the best person to beat Dominic for the Intercontinental Championship?
Who do you got?
Sheamus. Go ahead, and just let him be the Grand Slam champion.
You think he's see that would be interesting because I like Sheamus. He's was it last year they had that three-way match or was it 2 years ago at
Two
WrestleMania?
years ago, WrestleMania 39,
Okay, it was him. It was
Gunther and Drew
Drew.
McIntyre.
That was one of the best matches of the whole weekend.
Oh yeah, the I would say the best match.
Yeah, they just beat the piss out of each other. The only thing that I worry about with that, and it goes back to what I just said, kind of with the women stuff. They really seem to be pushing these young people who are over,
Hmm.
and I don't know if they'd want Dom to drop the belt to someone who is older or another younger star. That's going to be interesting how they play that.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't. Finn is not beating Dom. Finn, as much as I like Finn, he's like early to mid 40s. He's not beating like a 25 or 26-year-old Dom who right
He,
now
d-
is
he doesn't need to because it's just the main thing is he just needs to feud with him, put Dominic over, and
yeah.
then I think because Triple H is a big fan of Finn Balor. We all know this from NXT. I feel I'm just a gut feeling, and this is kind of where the problem lies right now with the future of Raw because we got all these guys who can easily be world champion. I think Finn Balor should be in that consideration as world champion and bring back the Demon and do it correctly like it should have done all those years ago. But of course, Vince McMahon again, different topic. How Vince McMahon has just intentionally destroyed the booking of Triple H's NXT guys.
Well,
Uh,
do you think Finn bringing back the Demon against Dom on a big show would be the
no,
way to go?
I would not unless if you're ending the feud without the Intercontinental title. But if it's all Intercontinental title, I don't think that's the right time to do the Demon and all that.
Yeah.
I think you should just only build it for your big matches.
Mhm. It's going to
So,
be interesting how that plays out. Now, here's that second to last match. Gunther
oh
and Pat
boy.
McAfee. Before we go into the match, I want to go back just a week prior. Pat McAfee can be kind of annoying to me. I have to just full
Hmm.
disclosure. On commentary, I do like his enthusiasm, but I find him a lot of times that he talks too much. He doesn't know when to let the story in the ring just tell itself.
Hmm.
Some of the stuff he says just kind of irks me. So full disclosure there. Now, in saying that, 2 weeks ago he cut a really good promo, and then last week, the week leading up to the Backlash, he cut a really good in-ring promo with Gunther. Both of
Hmm.
them did, and that promo together sold me on this match. And I think the match itself was exactly what it was supposed to be. Gunther could beat him in any minute, but he was so cocky that he just wanted to make an example of him. McAfee was able to get enough offense in to show that he's a fighter. He's not just a pushover. He's not just going to sit there and lay down like it would be if Michael Cole was in the ring.
Right.
I love the WrestleMania 5 throwback spot
Yeah, I
when
thought that was cool. And that made me nervous for a minute. I was like, you are not, you gotta be lying,
yes,
cheater.
and if nobody knows, there's a spot where Gunther was going to suplex Pat McAfee back into the ring, and Michael Cole grabs his leg, holds his foot down, and then the referee goes to count. But Gunther in this situation kicks out at 2. At WrestleMania 5, it was Bobby Heenan grabbing the leg of the Ultimate Warrior, causing Rick Rude to get the 3 count and becoming
Yeah.
the Intercontinental Champion. So that was a fun throwback for old people who like that stuff. But overall, I thought it was good. I think right now the build for Gunther is that we're gonna have him. He's gonna wrestle Jey Uso after Money in the Bank. But they're building.
Please. Please let Gunther win.
He's not winning that because they're bringing in Goldberg, and he's gonna be the guy there
I,
to.
I I
He's
don't I that's so beneath Gunther though. Like
well.
that would piss me off if they legitimately go through with it.
Well, I think they're gonna do that match, and then I think Gunther will beat him. That'll be Goldberg's last match, and
Oh,
then he'll.
okay.
Yeah, and then well, he's Goldberg's already been talking about doing a last match, so I think they're gonna run it as Gunther was the guy to retire Goldberg.
Okay, okay, I can see a possibility with that, but just my
Yeah,
thing is just I think Goldberg should just go away in my opinion. I don't
yeah,
think he also needs the last match. I think with the whole match itself, real quickly, I just thought it was okay. I think it honestly it went on way longer than it was supposed to, and I think that's
fair.
what took me out of it because it's like you said, Gunther can beat Pat McAfee at any point. I didn't mind a little bit of offense for Pat McAfee. That is fine with me. But I
Yeah,
think just still, the match went on way too long for me. It should have been one of those short matches.
that's fair. That's fair enough. All this stuff is so Gunther can have a stopgap until he gets to Goldberg. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what the whole. So he's got a match with Jey Uso after Money in the Bank.
Well,
It's the
assuming
assuming.
if Jay can beat Logan Paul, but come on, guys, I'll just let y'all know with many
Yeah.
years of experience, we know where things are going.
Yeah,
But
and the match it is it is the night after Money in the Bank, correct?
yeah, it's the Monday Night Raw after Money in the Bank, which I
Yeah.
thought that to be very intriguing as well.
Yeah,
Because
I
why
think
not have that match at Money in the Bank?
I think because they want to keep the focus on the two Money in the Bank matches,
And
and,
John Cena is supposed to be there.
yes, he'll probably have a match on that show, and they don't want to just waste everything,
Right.
you know. Um, so
Hey,
I can see Goldberg coming out that night after for Gunther.
yeah, so hey, only time will tell. And yeah, that good segue because then we'll just go back to back with these topics here. Backlash, the main event, John Cena versus Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship. In my opinion, it's just another John Cena Randy Orton match. The only thing that was different in this match is that John Cena's the bad guy and Randy Orton's the good guy. Other than that, they pretty much all they did was, hey, we're gonna do our best hits that all of our previous matches have done just to get you all excited, and then we're just gonna just ruin wrestling towards the end of the match with the overbooking and everything. Which that's what immediately took me out of the match. I know a lot of people liked the overbooking, but to
Yeah.
me, that was overbooking where it was very, very messy and unnecessary. I feel like the only thing you could have kept in there, or the two little things you could have kept in there, was our truth, which I thought that was fucking hilarious. And then Nick Aldis, because I think we're going to get a Randy Orton versus Nick Aldis match. I'm just telling you, 3 RKOs. Nick Aldis ain't going to tolerate that shit anymore. So I'm expecting that in the future. But just to me, just a meh main event to me is something I've seen countless times. But I still give it the benefit that it's the last time and to treat it as seriously as I could.
Now, the only thing I'll push back from what you said one word that I have to push back on. Out of all that, just one. When you're talking about the overbooking, you said it was unnecessary. I push
Mm-hmm.
back on that. I will say that it's 100% necessary. I think now John Cena in 2025 cannot work anymore. He can't
True.
work like even 5 years ago, 6 years ago. He can't. He needs smoke and mirrors to get through his matches. This match was nearly 30 minutes. There's no way he can wrestle and put on a standard John Cena Randy Orton match like they used to have 10, 15 years ago. He just can't do it anymore. So the only
Mm-hmm.
way to do that is the Gaga, right? The smoke and mirrors. It's the only way. And some of it worked, some of it didn't. There was a spot where John Cena got AA'd onto the announce table. That table
Yeah.
was not that announce table was not supposed to break. That spot was supposed to be a Randy Orton RKO through that table.
Mm-hmm.
That's why after that, Randy Orton's kind of going around the ring,
Did the
lifting up,
table.
he lifted up one side, there was no tables. He didn't know what to do. He eventually found the table, and you see him get John Cena, and he kind of says something to him, and then gives him another attitude AA through that table, and it looked terrible because like John Cena lands on the table, and it's like a half a second later, then it breaks. It's because none of that was supposed to happen. It was just improvised.
Right.
Overall, I like the match better than you did. I think a lot of it is based on expectations. This match was much better than the trash we got with Cena and Cody last
Oh,
month.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And I'm
Yeah,
not
so
trying to be like hateful, like and say like it's overbooking and all that. I
yeah.
don't mind overbooking if it's done organizingly and just like and it makes sense. Like just this one in particular, it was just a one big jumble mess, in my
Hey,
opinion. I feel like they could have condensed it a little bit.
that's fair. They could have cut 10 minutes off
Like,
of it.
yeah, all they could, like, easily could have done is belt, hit referee. Nick Aldis comes in, check, RKO, then R Truth. That would have been fine. But all that other stuff they added, I didn't like it all.
No, and that's fair. I think a lot of it for me was that I was comparing it to what we got the month before. And
Mhm.
so my expectations were very low. So because my expectations were low, I got something that was at least better than that, and it turned out pretty decent. When this turn happened for Cena 2 months ago, everybody was talking about it. Literally, like it was all over ESPN. Like Stephen A. Smith is talking about it on First Take. My New York Mets are tweeting about it on Twitter. Like it's everywhere. But since then, if we're just being fair, they haven't done it much at all. it seems like, these comparisons of, is it a bigger and better turn than Hulk Hogan in the NWO? That seems like a ridiculous conversation to even have now after
Hmm.
these 2 months has gone by, and it's just kind of, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, well,
I
hey,
don't know.
let's actually make an official transition into that with John Cena's 17 world titles. So continue on with that because I know that was going to slide into that next
Yeah,
topic.
okay, perfect. So I don't mind the John Cena heel turn at all. I was hoping that he would look different, have different music, and it would just be a total shift, like the Hogan shift, right?
Right.
Okay, we didn't get that. Now I guess that's part of his shtick is, I'm not going to change. I'm just going to be me and just be honest now and tell you fans that you all suck. But like, that's every heel turn. Every heel turn is the babyface going, "Well, I just don't like you fans. You all suck now. You don't appreciate me." Like, we've seen this so many times before, and I get that once again that a lot they have to have a lot of smoke and mirrors. Cena has to be protected and booked a certain way because he can't wrestle like he used to anymore. And it's a
Hmm.
shame. He's in great shape for a guy his age. Of course, great shape for anybody. But when you compare him to the old Cena with the lats that were like,
Yeah.
the guy was built like a brick shit house, you know. And so he's older now. He's pale. At least he got his hair plugs. So he did that. Um, but um, I want to give Triple H the benefit of the doubt that he's going to book Cena in a way that's going to be compelling and interesting. But the issue with that is when The Rock came in and did his whole deal in Elimination Chamber and then just disappeared, it set up an expectation for the fans that they did not deliver on. And it's really souring this whole angle. And they're really, really lucky that on the flip side, they have such high quality talent to carry the other main feud of the whole promotion with CM Punk and Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker in there, and of course, without question, Paul Heyman, who's carrying everything just by his on the stick. He
Hmm.
talks better than anybody that's around. It's not even close. And we're lucky that we have that, which is so compelling every week. Because you imagine if we had to just rely solely on this John Cena
Oh
main
God,
feud?
it would be bad.
No, I feel like we can almost kind of give it a little bit of a pass because the other stuff in the main event side is really good.
Right.
Um, but as far as him having the 17th world title, I don't mind it. It really is going to end. It's going to depend on how they end it. Right now, the ride is very, it's very pedestrian. It's very, like you said before, the word you use, meh. That's how I feel about John Cena's whole deal right now. It's
Yeah.
very like, okay.
Well,
Um,
it's just what it's missing: the explanation of the Rock. So
yeah, and
it's like you're going on with this whole great thing, and
mhm.
a big chunk of your story, your purpose is missing. So it's like I don't blame John Cena. Like, I don't even like who I feel the worst for is Triple H because how the hell are you supposed to write a story when the guy that inserts that big part of the story is not there? So like
Exactly.
now you're just going on like why the fuck did John Cena help The Rock?
Yep.
We will never know, and to me that damages the story.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, and it's gotten to the point where I think The Rock needs to stay away for a while.
He's
People
no, I think he should stay away forever. But I know
are,
I'm realistic enough that's not going to happen. But yeah,
yeah, at least for a while because he's really soured a lot of people. At least
especially that
as
interview on
far as
Pat
wrestling.
McAfee.
Yeah, as far as yeah, that was a bad move when he went on that show. He
Hmm.
needs to just stick with his Papa Tui men's products. Stick with which are great by the way.
Tequila.
Yeah, they're fantastic by the way.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, stick to
Not
his
official sponsor, but
stick to his Terramana, his football league that nobody watches at all and no one cares about.
mhm.
And he's going to be doing another movie. What was it? He's a Smash Brother or the
Well,
UFC.
he's like one of the first original UFC fighters. That's like
Yeah,
big
which
time.
it looks
Which
which looks good. It's A24, I think.
okay, well, then maybe give it a little chance, even though a lot of people were just making fun of his freaking look. like and all that. But um,
he looks just like the real guy though.
okay, see, that's why I don't know. I was just going based off what people are saying, but
I'll send you the side by side of him in the movie and how he and the real guy, and it really does. It looks just like him.
hey, if it's A24, I wouldn't doubt that at all. But yeah, just to finish it up, though, I'm
What do you
glad
think?
he won title number 17 for the
Yeah,
fact that it's just Ric Flair is just being Ric Flair and just done all this bad publicity and all that. And I just don't think he's that great representation of the greatest, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time with greatest champions. So John Cena winning title number 17 is great. I think we could have done it better with him as a face. I think it should, I could think it could mean more as him being a baby face, like beating like a Gunfer or something, or just something different, just something with a bigger pop than what we got. But
yeah.
John Cena had his fans out there, so everything worked out just fine. But to me, I got one last question, but we'll go on to the next topic here with Cena. Do you think he's the GOAT?
No,
Who do you
no.
think's the GOAT?
That's such a hard question to narrow down based on
Do you want to
criteria.
say? Do you just want to save that for like next month? We could do a
No,
topic
I'll get
or
to
topic
me.
on.
No, because I've been a Flair guy forever.
Okay.
His his post retirement antics
Hmm.
are it's sad and it's embarrassing and it borderlines on pathetic.
Hmm.
And a lot of the stuff that he says now, I think, is just an old man who's got a lot of problems.
Right.
So if you separate that, and some people can't separate art from the artist, I can do
Right.
that. I still watch The Cosby Show
And
because
I still watch Jeepers Creepers, but
exactly there you go, right? But separating the art from the artist, Ric Flair, I think, just had everything. He was able to wrestle with anybody and make them good, make the match
hmm
good. His promos are legendary. The way he carried himself, his ability to sell tickets, get asses in the seats, to do that for 30 plus years consistently from the early, mid 70s until the end of the 90s, to be able to dominate in two different promotions the way that he did,
hmm
to be, one of the main guys to create one of the most famous factions of all time in the Four Horsemen. Um, I don't think that's hard. It's hard to narrow down to one because a lot of it's subjective. Um, so I kind of just default to Flair. I'm a big Bret Hart fan, but I know the mic skills as a babyface
yeah.
are kind of. I think he's better than most people that people usually give him credit for, but he's kind of just average. As a
Hmm.
heel, Bret was really good on the
Oh
mic.
yeah.
Um, the problem with Cena for me is that for a long time he was kind of just one dimensional, and I've softened up on him a bit over the years because he's done a lot of great stuff.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just I think instead of saying who's the greatest of all time, it's like when you have that discussion about is it Michael Jordan, is it LeBron James? It's hard to
Well, we know
compare.
the answer to that one, but
It's really hard to compare eras.
hmm
You know
that's
the,
true.
ga-
Good
the
point.
yeah, the game has changed so much, and that goes for pro wrestling too, not just the style, the presentation. It's hard to compare a guy like John Cena, who's just worked in WWE his whole career, with a guy like Ric Flair, who worked everywhere, who literally
Hmm.
was a world champion. He'd work down in Dallas and work with the Von Erichs, and then go to Georgia Championship Wrestling, and then wrestle in Florida with Dusty Rhodes, and do a shot over to Japan and wrestle Jumbo Ceruto, whoever, right?
Or
So
yeah.
it's such a different era, so it's hard to compare. I like to do like the way I would rather word it is to break down generations and then say who's the best of that generation.
Hmm.
For John Cena in his generation, he definitely has a strong case to say he's the best of his generation by far.
Yeah.
Overall and the most successful. Because to me, if you're putting together like a WWE Mount Rushmore, as far as people who were the face of the company and carried the company from kind of the inception till now,
Right.
he's on that Mount Rushmore as being the face of the
Hmm.
company.
Yeah, like that's where I put him as well. Definitely one there, but it's just yeah, it's just what like Cena has done. Like Ric Flair, everything he's done with the wrestling promotion being very hot and every very exciting. While John Cena had to do it during a time where it wasn't quite as popular, and he literally had to carry a broken company at that point because of Vince McMahon's crap, and try to be a bestseller and everything. And what he's done, and another thing too, is what he did outside of the ring. Really plays into a person of your character of inside the ring, and that's what John Cena has done. He's done so much outside the ring for
Wonderful, wonderful.
Make a Wish and
Yeah,
everything. So, in my opinion, I have no choice now. I have to say Cena's the goat.
that's
In
fair.
my opinion.
Yeah, well, he sure has put a lot of time in.
Yeah, exactly. And and Ric Flair in the ring and his character, his gimmick, limousine ride, jet flying, get stealing, son of a gun. I will always respect that. But just like outside the ring, yeah, like you said, it's sad just to see what Ric Flair has become due to his old age.
I met Ric Flair, got a nice signature here.
Oh, dude, and a good picture too. I love that picture.
Yeah, before the alcohol abuse sunk him.
Oh, and what he did at the freaking bar and everything. Do you not know who I am?
But overall, listen, she's had a great run. He's had a great run, and really kind of underrated in the ring. I think there's a lot of good matches that he's had. I don't know what I'd say my favorite Cena match is. I'd have to really sit back and think about it. But right away, the one that just
Actually,
pops in my head is the CM Punk Money in the Bank match.
yeah, I was going to say let's save that towards the end of the year because I know we're going to do pretty much a whole ordeal show just on John Cena with
Maybe
matches
we'll
and
each do
everything.
like a top 10, and we'll just rifle them off to each other or something.
Man, that's a deal. So, but that's John Cena. Congratulations,
Yeah.
17-time world champion, most world champions in professional wrestling history. All right, we're going to go to the next one with the WWE releases. So, Robbie, here's what I'm going to do. Okay,
Okay.
I'm just going to read out all of that got released, and if there's a particular person you want to talk about, we'll talk about it.
Yes.
So listen carefully. If there's something I need to repeat, I will. I know I'm going to butcher the last couple of names on this list because that's who I am. But you know what? Maybe they shouldn't give them bad wrestling names. So here we go. We got Braun Strowman,
All right.
Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, Katana Chance, Caden Carter, Cora Jade, Gigi Dolan, Eddie Thorpe, I believe that's how you say his last name,
Yep.
Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, Wolfgang, which is the faction of Gallus, Riley Osborne, Jakara Jackson. This is where I'm getting ready to mess up. Oro Mensah, and then Javier Bernal, and then lastly, Danny Palmer. So hopefully I didn't butcher anybody's name, but Robbie, is there a particular person you want to go over of like, do you think they should have been cut?
You know what I think we should also do? I want to expand this to cover New Japan and just have you read the list of the matches. We don't have
No,
to talk
thank
about
you.
them. I just want to have you read the list of the
No,
matches.
that'll go for our featured Patreon if we ever get that lucky, just to butcher the hell out of the Japanese names.
Okay,
Uh,
a couple of names I'll just kind of fire through. Um, Braun Strowman was the first name that you picked up. I think Braun is a guy that, as far as being in a big feud, a big story, and a big program, kind of that has passed him. They have other younger
mhm.
guys that are bigger, stronger, faster, obviously younger. From what I've been hearing, that the door is open for Braun Strowman to kind of come back if they find something for him. I believe on Peacock later this year, they're
USA.
on the USA. They're going to have a TV show. I think it's called Braun Strowman Eats America or something like this, where he's just traveling around and going to different restaurants. That's later on, I think, in the year.
Mhm.
I would not be surprised if Braun comes back. I know he was making a lot of money,
Yeah, and
and
that was my issue with it, is that he was making way too much money for a
yeah,
mid card guy. And I was okay.
yes.
And plus, with him having injuries and him being mobile, I was totally okay with him getting cut.
Yes, and they'll bring him back probably when the show goes on, maybe even short term for a small program. So I think
Hmm.
he'll be fine. I was really surprised about the two next names. two names that you named next, Cora Jade and Dakota Kai.
Yes.
Now they've been in NXT for a while. They're they're young, they're popular, they're really pretty, so they have the look, and they can work. Um, I know there's a lot of rumors out there about attitude problems and not working hard and this and
Body
that.
shaming. Like that's the thing with Core J I've been hearing is the body shaming, which I that does
I
not
don't.
make sense to me. I'll be even more honest with you. I'm not trying to be insensitive here. I didn't think she even need that boob job. I thought she was perfect the way she looked before.
Yeah, I think she had a really good look and she can work. She's going to get
Opportunities.
a lot of opportunities on the indies. I think she said her contract is, or the 30-day non-compete or whatever is up in 2 weeks, and that is
Hmm.
also for those interested. Also, in 2 weeks when that non-compete is up, you can see her on the indies. But if you're not interested in that, you could also subscribe to her OnlyFans, which is up, and she'll be delivering content for anyone who might be interested.
And it's not the content you're thinking of. So you horny wrestling fans, it's not going to be that kind of content. I could guarantee you right now. So if you're expecting anything nude,
No,
you're going to be heartbroken.
all the AEW sickos who are just waiting to purchase the content. You're probably not going to get more than you get on her Instagram, but she'll take your money. Going through the rest of this list, Gigi Dolan, surprised by that. I liked her. I thought she had a good look. You know who else I was surprised about?
Dakota Kai,
Uh, we'll get to that, but Katana Chance and Caden Carter.
thank you.
And the reason for that is the women's tag team division needs teams,
Hmm.
and these girls have been around for a while. And Kaden Carter, I see fairly often. She lives right near. I live about a 9-minute drive from the Performance Center.
Oh, wait,
And
you live near Caden Carter?
I
Because I
live
think
near.
from what I heard of it is that she's dating Damian Priest.
Yeah, Damian Priest has come into my job before. I live right down the street from Full Sail.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, it's about an 8 or 9 minute drive from the Performance Center. So I'm right
Hmm.
here. Uh,
Nice.
yeah. So I see them often, and they're a good team. They're an athletic team. They're, to me, like they're like the Motor City Machine Guns of the women's division,
Right.
where they could have good, fun, athletic matches. Maybe you're not going to put them at the top of the card with the titles, but you could plug them in just to have a fun program, and you'd be guaranteed to have a good athletic match. So that kind of surprised me. Obviously, there's other stuff going on that we don't understand or know
Right.
or are privy to, but that stood out to me.
Yeah,
Wasn't
and
surprised.
can we say on that real quick? And
Yeah.
first off, Byron, what's going on, buddy? If we have time at the end to answer your questions, we will. It all depends on time. But just one, yeah. Back to you. With I'm so happy you mentioned Katana Chance. Honestly, and this is no disrespect to Kaden Carter. I could care less. She could go in my book. But I think Katana Chance. I've
Yeah.
always had this thing with her that she could have been like the Rey Mysterio of the women's division of being that small, athletic female wrestler with a good underdog story, beautiful look, and everything like that. Great background with the whole Ultimate Warrior. Not it's not called Ultimate Warrior.
American Ninja.
Yeah. American Ninja, yeah, and all that. When I watched that, it was incredible to watch someone like her just make
Yeah.
everything so effortlessly. So I had high hopes for her. So I was really disappointed. I understand why she did because if you ain't going to use her, why keep them? Just go ahead and let them be happy elsewhere.
Yes.
But I was really disappointed with Katana Chance because I feel like she should have gotten at least a little opportunity because she had that great spot at the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago, pulling off like a Kofi Kingston type, save
Yeah.
yourself from
Yeah.
elimination with the whole turnbuckle. So Katana Chance was one of my underappreciated. Like it's just. More people should be talking about Katana Chance getting released because I feel like she could have done something big if given the right opportunity.
I agree. I agree. Some of the other ones that didn't really surprise me, Shayna Baszler, she's kind of
Yeah, she was ready to go.
she was ready to go. Shotzi was a little surprising. And
Well,
some of
I didn't include Shotzi from being released because technically she didn't re-sign, so
okay,
she
that's what it
decided
was.
to
Yeah.
let herself go.
Okay. Um, but overall on this, of course, what happens is all these releases come out, which happens every year post WrestleMania. It's
Yes, I'm
happens
not sure
for
why people get
years.
mad.
And so people get mad and then they pretend that they were always fans of these people when they never were.
Right.
I mean, these people freaking out over Braun Strowman. Like, name me five Braun Strowman matches that you were fucking excited to watch. I
Or better
mean,
yet, you ready for this? When's Braun Strowman going to be a world champion?
never.
Because you keep people in hopes that they become mega stars and become your world champion. And
Yeah.
Braun Strowman's only world title was the Universal title, just because Roman Reigns didn't want to show up because of like being sick and all that. So it's just like Braun Strowman's like whole world title reign was already conflicted anyway. So it's
Yeah.
just like after that, it's like when do you ever see Braun Strowman going to be in the main event? When's he going to sell out your arena? Like
Eh,
I get he's an attraction, but like big men like him do not last forever. The only exception to that rule was Big Show.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, that, and I don't know how much of this stuff you watch consistently, but I watch NXT every week. They got a lot of young talent.
Mhm.
I haven't missed an Evolve show yet. They got a
I need to get
lot.
back on that show.
They have a lot of young talent, and then even below that, in the WWE ID program, that they're kind of sponsoring people that are working out on the
Mhm.
indies. The way you got to look at it, it's like WWE ID is like single A ball. Then you have Evolve is like double A.
Right.
NXT is triple A, and then Raw and SmackDown is the majors.
Oh, technically they can't be AAA anymore. We just bought AAA.
Yeah, true.
But I know
But
what you meant, though.
yeah,
But
yeah, but that's the thing. And point is, they have so much young talent that is coming up the pipe that there needs to be room for them. If these dweebs on the internet who cry when anyone gets released, never want to see anyone lose their job ever. But the bottom
no,
line is, it's no different than if your favorite football, baseball, basketball, hockey team has to make a cut because they have another player that's a better fit for the team, whether it's an age thing, an injury thing, or they're just a better fit for what they have planned moving forward. And that's
hmm
it. It's a lot. Most of the time, it's not a personal decision. Some of these people that have been, that are super seniors in NXT and have been there for 5 and 6 years. There's a reason why they haven't got called up to the main roster right now. It's,
simple, just not good enough.
that's it. And either not good enough or just not right for what they want. And they'll have other opportunities out there. And maybe they'll end up leaving and coming back. We've seen that.
Right.
We've
And
seen that.
that's why I have high hopes that Cora Jade will come back.
Yeah.
Because I'm just telling you, what's going to make her successful if she could tap into her CM Punk, like be the female CM Punk of women's wrestling. I think that is what will get her to the big time.
I mean, only time will tell, but I think she's out of, if you're going to give me three or four people out of this list who have gotten cut that you want to keep your eye on, she's going to be on that list.
Oh, she's definitely number one on my list because I'm just telling you, I think she's going to come back and be better than ever. Again, hopefully, but the big thing with her is she's got to stay healthy, and that's part of
Yes.
it. And say that's why Dakota Kai. I know you mentioned age earlier
Yeah.
because she was getting a little older and just not getting the injuries are not going her way, and that's why she got cut. And I'm sad because I love when Dakota Kai first came in during the Mae Young Classic. She had a
Mm.
phenomenal underdog look to her and just had a good personality about her. It's just sad. It's just bad booking and just the injuries didn't go in her favor.
Yeah. So we'll have to keep an eye on some of these names, but I wouldn't be surprised if you get a few of them coming around the bend here again at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Because earlier in the year we released AOP and Blair Davenport and just stars like that.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's the WWE releases. And stick around towards our game section because I have a little game section. And it's going to be called WWE releases, but who we should release. So stay
Mhm.
tuned for a little bit on that. So, you ready to go to the next topic?
Yes, let's do it. This is a fun
All
one.
right. This one, yeah, you were excited about this one. You definitely wanted to talk about this one. And
I
I got
because
some notes.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
go ahead.
I absolutely adore Liv Morgan. I think she's fantastic.
All right.
And
Hey, if you got the notes, I'll let you go ahead. So, and
well,
I'll
we
just fill in the gaps.
we got Liv Morgan is off TV right now because she's
The
in Japan.
movies.
She is in Japan right now filming a action thriller called Bad Lieutenant Tokyo, which I believe is the third or fourth film in kind of this
Oh, okay. I didn't
series.
even know it was a franchise. So,
Yeah, and it's Takashi Miike. I'm
hmm
not good with the names, but Ichi the Killer, and he's Audition. I don't know if he did Audition.
no, he
Um,
directed Audition and 13 Assassins were
okay,
some of his popular titles.
yeah, so he's a very popular director, and I remember he came on my radar with Audition. So he's a very, very, very popular director in Japan. Ichi the Killer is another one that people have talked about.
Mhm.
Really hardcore stuff. And when it came out that Liv was going to be in a movie, people at first were thinking she was going to be joining some type of Marvel thing. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy that she didn't get thrown into that and just was just another person in just another Marvel movie again.
Or
Just
just be treated like Seth Rollins in the Captain America movie, like where all of his things got cut.
yeah, this is going to be an interesting film. She's going to actually get to act, really act. She plays the daughter of a high profile person in Japan who gets kidnapped.
Okay.
And I believe that this film is going to be shopped around at Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival next year.
Okay.
So it's going to make some noise, and I think that's going to be an interesting spot for Liv. She's really stepped up her game over the last year. Her matches
hmm
have been lights out, man. She's really doing a great job with it, and more important than that, her character work. Her
Yeah.
character work is so compelling. It's so good. Like we talked about earlier with the whole Judgment Day angle, she's the anchor of that whole thing. She's the
hmm
one that's twisting and turning everything. And she's just this sneaky, sneaky girl who, you look at and you can tell there's a little evil there. But if anyone's ever had an experience with a very attractive woman who can get away with some of that because they know that the guy has got a thing for her. That's that's all this is, and she handles it so well with the Judgment Day, and I'm really curious to see how she can perform in a totally different role outside of like the Liv Morgan character.
Right. And that's the other thing too. It's just like WWE leads to opportunities in acting because guess what? You ain't gonna wrestle forever. So what do you do after wrestling? And I think that's where a lot of people have kind of outside the ring identity problem. Like, what
Yeah.
can I do after my body tells me it's time to hang it up? This is Liv Morgan's opportunity to see, hey, maybe I can make it in Hollywood and all that. So good for her. I'm happy for her. And another cast member in this movie, didn't hear you mention, but Lily James is in this
Mm.
movie. If you don't know who she is, she did Baby Driver and The Iron Claw, which is the Von Ferrich's A24 movie
Yes.
that released 2 years ago. That
Mm.
I'll be honest with you, made me fucking cry at the end. But yeah, so I'm excited. I'm interested. So hopefully, best of luck to Liv Morgan. But more
Yeah.
of anything, Liv Morgan, I want you back on my Raw TV because Judgment Day has almost been as bland. Because, like you said, she's the nucleus that makes that whole
Yeah.
thing turn. Even though the thing they have to figure out is what do you do with Liv Morgan after Judgment Day?
Only time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. So, Liv Morgan, best of luck to you. We will be seeing your movie as soon as we can. So let's go ahead and go our next round of topics of Netflix, WWE Unreal, where this time us the fans get to go behind the scenes and go into the writing room. And this one, I'll be honest with you, I'm very, very nervous about this because I'm very interested as a wrestling fan. Give it to me as a wrestling fan, but also as a wrestling fan, I'm at the point of like, I don't want the business to get exposed too much because I kind of want some of the kind of like
Mm.
I don't know the word. Maybe you can figure out a better word for me, but I just don't. I guess the word mystiqueness of WWE. I don't want like the wrestlers to know that. Like, of course we know it's scripted and everything, but we don't want to know like how it's scripted for at least a good part of the fans. But curiosity fans like me, hell yeah, I'm going to watch it if you're going to show it on Netflix. So I just want to get your thoughts on that. Do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's an interesting idea, and I don't think they're going to tell you. They're not going to reveal anything that they don't want you to know. This is one of those things where they let you in a little bit, and people are freaking out about it in a
hmm
lot of ways. But I don't think they're going to go all in. As far as the process, I think so much of it has already been revealed over the years. Every former wrestler has a podcast. Every booker can tell you about how they book this match and that.
Jim
Um,
Cornette.
Jim Cornette does a great job, and Conrad and his team with Bruce
Hmm.
Pritchard and all and whatnot. But at the end of the day, with wrestling nowadays, you can't put toothpaste back in the tube. It's already
Right.
out. So
That's I like that analogy.
you know, it's true. And for the people that that seen a lot of people online, especially like on Twitter, freaking out, just angry that this is coming out. And at the end of the day, man, just don't watch
Hmm. Yeah, I'm still gonna watch it. Like Kenny, I'm a
it.
WWE guy. Of course, I'm gonna watch it whether it's a good idea or a bad
Yeah,
idea.
I think
But like, I
I
see the
think
concerns about it.
yeah, I think they'll pull back the curtain, but I don't think they're going to pull back the curtain as much as some people might think. I think they're going to
Hmm.
protect it enough.
All right, and so that is WWE Unreal, which is going supposed to be a Netflix show released sometime during the summer. So if I'm going to be a guessing man, I would think we're going to maybe get around mid-July or August or something
SummerSlam
around.
time.
Yeah, around summer same time, maybe to build up SummerSlam. So
Yeah.
that we will let y'all know when we get more details on that. And so our next one, I find this one to be an interesting topic because I actually thought about this and I messaged this to you immediately, like of why I want this topic. So I'm going to ask you first, and then I'll go ahead. Who do you think has the best wrestling right now, women or the men?
I think it depends on what brand you're looking at. Uh,
If we're a WWE show, so within the world of WWE, who do you
uh,
think is better right now, the women or the men?
Overall, it's still the men. They're still positioned in the top spot. I think that you're talking people like CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles. These these are otherworldly guys who are going to be instant Hall of Famers, who are still just so top notch right now. And I think
Mhm.
that the talent pool of seasoned wrestlers is deeper on the men's side. But I
Hmm,
think there's a
that's
lot.
interesting.
I think there's a lot of younger women right now on NXT. I think you can make a case that the women are the best part of the show.
Hmm.
And even watching Evolve right now, it's about 50-50.
Okay.
So there's a lot of young women wrestlers who are going to be pushed stronger and stronger as time goes on. I think the balance now, I think it's still booked more towards the men a lot because these are guys who have been around for so long and their star power. They have they have a leg up in this because it really was only over the last decade or so that the women were really taken pushed and taken seriously.
Right. All because of the hashtag give women a chance.
Yeah, where the men have been doing it for 100 years or whatever.
Right.
So and this takes nothing away against a lot of the women on the main roster. It's just the amount of seasoned wrestlers in the promotion is just greater on the men's side, in my opinion. There's a lot of times that the
Mhm.
women have better matches on the show, but if we're talking overall presentation, depth of talent, and how they're seasoned in their work, I think it's the men.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up like matches because like that is where I'm going to majorly give the women their flowers is that they're in ring matches if given the proper time, and that's
Yeah.
all about it too. It's the proper time, proper television time, and that's the thing. Other thing too, it's just with the women, I think they should definitely get more story because I feel
Yes.
like that's what's really holding them back. Because I'm afraid that if they give the women the story, the men are going to complain a little bit because like the men are like we all know like the men are the ones that draw the house for the most part unless if your name's like Rhea Ripley
Yeah.
because it was obviously given this past Monday Night Raw. Rhea is still the face of the women's division right
Yeah.
now.
She's the big draw. She's the big draw.
Yeah, so she's the big draw, but just that main event on Raw was so good, and that's the amazing thing. I learned this today too. That Roxanne Perez became the third youngest wrestler to main event a Monday Night Raw, the youngest women wrestler to main event a Monday Night Raw. So I thought that was really cool and very deserved for Roxanne because of all the work she has done, especially the last couple of months of putting over particular talent like a Stephanie Facure, Julia, and recently Jordan Grace too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
God,
do you
mention that.
watch? Do you watch NXT
I,
fairly
bits and pieces of it, but I'm always usually know what's going on.
with the women? The last couple of weeks have been killing it on
Oh, I'm
NXT.
telling you, and that's why I'm telling you, like that alone,
Yeah,
Stephanie Falcour, because I know
huge
she's coming to
star.
the main rod. I bet you a million everything that Jordan Grace is going to be Stephanie Falcour at Battleground, and
Yeah,
Stephanie Falcour is going to be called up. I'm just telling you that's going to happen.
yeah. She's a
But
bit.
like, but
She's money, man.
Oh yeah, because they already gave her 2 matches on Monday Night Raw, passed
Yes.
with flying colors.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just again those names: Julia, Roxanne. It could have been Cora Jade, but again, just I don't know. Uh, okay, so let me start over again. Jordan Gray, Stephanie Fakir, Julia. I will even mention like Roxanne. I will even mention because I think I've been really impressed with her, and I think she's getting ready to be a big player at NXT for this time being. Jada Parker, I'm a big fan of. I
Mhm.
think she has a
Yes.
fantastic look and good in ring ability. And I think she's so damn confident in herself that it's just making her better every single week. But all that combining with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Tiffany Stratton, Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria. We got all that talent. So, like, yes, I agree with you. The men are better right now, but I'm just telling you, if the men are not careful, if they don't really just pick up their shit, and I'm mainly talking about the mid card to low card talent of the men. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about the main eventers. I'm talking about the mid card to low. If they are not careful, they could be the reason why the women will be better than the men in 2 years' time. I'm not talking about right now because you're right, the men are better, but 2 years from now,
Yeah.
if things are not carefully done or the men don't pick up their shit in the ring, the women can take over and then the women can get the story. They can draw the house and everything. So I'm just saying, just be
I agree.
careful for the men.
I agree, especially with the young women talent that are there. That 2 years from now will be more
Mhm.
seasoned and have more experience.
And we're going to get Mariah May too, so that's going to happen.
And to put a bow on this, we have to make sure we mention this because there's a lot of rumors going around. I don't know if it's officially announced yet. I don't think. In July, AEW has their big pay-per-view in
Hmm.
Texas, All In, right?
Mm.
That's their big.
Yep.
That's like their WrestleMania, essentially. WWE soon, from what we're hearing, is going to announce that on that same day as All In will be the Evolution pay-per-view of the
Hmm.
all women PLE that they're going to run opposite of All In.
And I was just wondering where the hell that show's been because I loved the first Evolution, even though
They-
I hated the main event.
mhm.
Because especially what we have now dealing between what Ronda has said and what Nikki Bella has done, I could do a whole segment why I hate both of those wrestlers. But like just that show alone, that first one was so incredibly done, and the main event should have obviously been Charlotte and Becky Lynch in that street fight. That should have been the main event.
100%. What do you think about them putting that opposite All In?
Oh, I absolutely love it because I know those women are going to crush it, and not only crush it, but they're going to include everybody, NXT and main roster. They're going to make that the best women's pay-per-view
And
of
you know
all
what?
time.
And you know what? Don't be surprised if they don't get some TNA women on there.
And
Um,
yeah, especially with the Indy Hartwell who just signed with TNA, and I'm
yep.
so happy for her because I
Yeah.
thought she had a great look.
Yeah. TNA has done a lot of good work. They've really built themselves up over the years, and this partnership with WWE has been a plus for them.
And that's surprising to me as well, especially with Tessa Blanchard. At one point in my lifetime, I said that Tessa Blanchard was a future WrestleMania main event.
Well,
Especially
yeah,
if you could do Charlotte versus Tessa Blanchard. Do you know how much money that would make?
yeah,
If Charlotte was willing to play ball, that is.
yeah, and that's a whole different conversation.
Oh yeah, God. Oh,
But
God.
we'll
I'm
see.
so happy how she got treated. But
I think that shows how the confidence that WWE has in the women's division to put
oh
that
yeah.
against AEW's top show of the year. That
Oh no.
shows their confidence in them.
Oh yeah, especially with what the women did at WrestleMania, which
Yeah.
and that yeah, I didn't even mention those names. We got Naomi who's really on top of her game right now. We got
Great
Cora
best
Jade
character.
who's about
Yeah, best
oh
character
go
work
ahead.
for best character work right now for Naomi that she's ever done. She's
Hmm.
she's really coming across as a character and has that attitude. The whole babyface deal was just getting too old at this point. She's been doing it for a decade.
Hmm.
She had to make the switch, and I think she's doing a really nice job with it.
Oh, absolutely, she is. And then again, we got Cora Jade. We got a young talent on Raw named Ivy Nile, who's a Knoxville representative with me, along with Bianca Belair. So those are my two Knoxville girls, just killing it right now. So like, there's just so many possibilities. And with the men, the only thing I have looked forward to the future with the men, if we're just really being honest, is Braun Breaker and what maybe Carmelo Haynes and maybe hopefully MJF if he decides to make that jump because I really feel like he should have done it immediately anyway. But we'll see about MJF. I will welcome him with wide open arms. But that again, that's just been down to my concern with the men. We don't have who's our future main eventers like Braun Breaker and who else?
Yeah, well, that's what it is. We got to see who these younger people are because so many of these
Yeah,
big
they
stars
got. I'm just
are
telling you,
pushing
they got to
40.
step up right now. That's what I'm telling you. If I were Triple H, I hate to do this, I would do the brass ring speech. Who's the fuck going to grab the brass ring?
Yep, I
So
agree.
I'm just so men, be careful because I am loving what the women are doing now and what the women are going to be doing here in the near future. And if you ain't careful, I wouldn't mind a double WrestleMania of both nights one and two be women's main events.
Well, I don't know if that'll happen, but maybe
I
you'll
know
get one of them.
it won't happen, but I wouldn't mind it again as long as they give them stories. And that's the thing I challenge Triple H and his team: give the women better stories and give them better TV time to tell those stories.
Well, we'll see how it all plays out. But
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Hell yeah, buddy. So let's go ahead and move on. We are getting close to being done for this episode. We've got two more topics in a game. Let's go Money in the Bank here. So I want to address this because SmackDown, they're already doing their first two qualifier matches for Money in the Bank, but they haven't really released who those wrestlers are yet. So I figured this would be the perfect time. Who is your prediction to win the Money in the Bank ladder matches for both the men and the women?
Roxanne Perez on the women's side,
Good choice.
and part of me wants to say Carmelo Hayes because I think the Money in the Bank should go to someone young,
Hmm.
and it should be used as a springboard to get them moving forward. However, we all know 9 times out of 10 that whoever wins the Money in the Bank is going to win one of the two titles,
Hmm.
and they're going to win one of the two titles within a year. I don't know if Carmelo Hayes is within a year away of winning a world title,
No, I don't
and
think so.
I don't think so either. So I look at it and I go, what makes sense from a storyline perspective, and who's fairly young? Um, I could see it would be very interesting if Braun Breaker won the Money in the Bank, and
Oh.
he always carried that around, and it's always kind of this thing in the back of the mind of Seth Rollins, where this whole group is designed for him to win the title. In this case, the
Hmm.
world title. It could be either title, but we'll just say the world title. Paul Heyman said it last week. Seth Rollins needs to win the world title. And he's got Braun Breaker as as his attack dog, essentially.
Enforcer.
Yeah. You add that in there that he's got this money in the bank briefcase that he could always kind of use from time to time as
Hmm.
this little wrinkle, and you have a year to play with it. You got
Yeah, you can even do it for WrestleMania if you really wanted to.
Could you imagine if Seth Rollins say Sammy wins the Royal Rumble and then beats Seth Rollins for the title, and he's beaten down bad, he barely can win, and then Braun Breaker cashes in the
Oh
Money
my
in the Bank,
god.
And then we got to go to the Raw after WrestleMania and see Paul Heyman stand next to Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins, but it's Braun Breaker with the title on his shoulder instead.
And then we get the whole evolution, Triple H turning on Randy Orton ordeal, or in this case, Seth Rollins can turn on Braun Breaker.
Could you? How much fun could that be?
So it could be so much fun because I'm seeing what Seth Rollins is doing right now is being like that Triple H of evolution.
That's what it is. Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's a good spot for him. He's really good. He's gotten a lot better on the mic, and he's an awesome wrestler.
oh no, and that's the thing with Braun is like if you want him to be a main eventer, you got to surround him with main event talent. And that's
Yeah, yeah.
exactly what they're doing. I think what they're
He
doing is great.
yeah he's in the Randy Orton and Batista spot.
Or really in the Batista spot because he's just a freaking animal.
Yes.
So yeah. And what I got for let's see with my notes here. Okay, the women's money in the bank, Roxanne Perez is my honorable mention. But if
Okay.
we want to have some fun, because that's the thing. I think we should have because last year we kind of got screwed with Drew McIntyre winning money in the bank, but we sacrificed that to tell a bigger story and it worked. But I think this year we need to start having fun with the money in the bank with some teases and comedic moments and all that. And I got two perfect people for that. The first one goes to the women. Give me Chelsea Green to win money in
I
the bank.
Once you said we need some teases right away, and you
Oh,
know
and her
what?
character work.
And you know what? I think that's a really. I think you might be onto something. They took the U.S. title off of her for a reason, and it's not because she's
hmm
not over. It's probably because they're pushing her up.
Oh yeah, because she's been passing with flying colors, and just her character work right now is
She's great.
it's just everything with her is just she's perfect.
Yeah.
If it might not be for Rhea Ripley, Chelsea Green might legitimately be the best woman they got right now.
And
And I heard she can
what
wrestle, and they haven't really given her her shining wrestling match.
I
And I
did,
think
li-
that needs to change soon.
I did like about 2 months ago, she had a street fight on SmackDown.
Yeah, against Meechin.
Yes, and she dressed up like Foley.
She did. Like it's perfect. It's just
Yeah,
so it's just her like mourning over the United States title wearing the all black. It's perfect right now
yeah,
for her. It's
yeah.
just and
She
plus I listen her to her podcast on the Chris Van Fleet podcast, which if you've not listened to that podcast, I highly recommend people will listen to
it's great
that.
stuff.
Yeah, and his interview with Chelsea Green makes me love Chelsea Green 10 times more
She's
because she's
great.
just so appreciative.
And married to Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona.
Woo woo woo.
Who you know what? I'm surprised he hasn't made a little comeback, but he's doing so well outside of
He
WWE. He
wants to
bounces.
come back to WWE. He's just waiting on that opportunity, which I'm
Yeah,
sure Triple H eventually is
he
going to
will.
take a. Yeah, he will.
He will. Yeah, he's done a good
Yeah.
job for himself as well.
So that's for the women with Chelsea Green, but I also want to have fun with the men with teases. And what would be a great way to get some exposure on the WWE product than having a certain celebrity carrying around the money in the bank briefcase to everywhere he goes, whether it could be to certain gaming events or it could be his brother's boxing matches. I think you already know where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
You ready
yeah,
for it?
yeah.
Logan Paul wins money in the bank. And I know a lot of people are going to be pissed off at that, but just hear me out. I mean, great, like he's hardly there on Raw anyway. So you will always have the back of your mind on every single Raw. Is this going to be the Raw where he's going to cash in? Or can he be the guy to end John Cena's WWE title run?
I don't know. Yeah, that's. I don't think they would do that, but I do like as far as ending Cena. But I do like the idea of him having that Money in the Bank briefcase
Yeah, just
because
every media appearance, he always has that briefcase, and he's
yeah,
just joking around, going, "I could cash this in anytime I want."
yeah,
Like, and
I
plus, just
like it.
his work right now, I think he should deserve a shot at the world title.
Yeah, and well, he's getting one. That's Saturday
Well, I
night's
mean,
main
to
event
win it. That's the
to win
thing,
it.
to win it. Like, he's getting
Yeah,
his opportunities, but I think where a lot of people are just kind of like just against him is because he's not a full timer.
it's
Which
that,
I agree.
and a lot of people don't like his. A lot of the stuff he did on his YouTube. He had bad. People think he's
Yeah, but that was a
obnoxious.
long time ago when he's a kid, but now he's
Yeah,
a dad. And
yeah.
plus, you
I
got
don't have a
just like
problem
his
with
theme
him.
song, just his theme song. He's humbled now, which it took me a good bit to get used to his music, but now I absolutely love his theme song.
I think he does a good job. a little down on the WrestleMania match. I don't. I think, but outside of that, he usually brings it, and it always ends up really good. Um, and I think, you know, I think him getting Money in the Bank would be really, really good for him because right now he hasn't
Hmm.
really expanded his character much since he's come in, and
Right.
this would give it that added wrinkle and another layer to him that I think he kind of needs right now. Because if he continues on in the same way that he is, it's starting to get a little stale. But if you give him the Money in the Bank, that puts him in a different direction. It could freshen him up.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought he'd be a good choice. And another honorable mention, I sincerely doubt he will win it or he'll even be in the match. It's just because I'm a big fan of this guy right now. And just what the hell is Triple H waiting for? Give me some Karrion Cross. I want him on my damn TV right now.
The dude is so over, and I haven't watched it yet, but on his
Oh,
YouTube,
number one T-shirt show. Right, that guy.
yep.
I can't talk right now. I've been talking for 4 hours. But number one T-shirt sales right now. Which that I'm just telling you, if you sell money, you sell merch. You've got to be on TV.
Agreed. And I haven't seen it yet, but on his official YouTube channel, he released like an hour or so long documentary kind of on his build around WrestleMania weekend. And he
Hmm.
wasn't on WrestleMania, but he did work the Bloodsport Indie show, which is
Right.
essentially the it's if guys know Raw Underground, it's kind of like that but done better. He was
Mhm.
on that show, and he's so over. They just have him working every week on the main event, which nobody watches. That's just exclusive to like YouTube or Hulu or
And
Peacock.
he's great on the damn mic.
Yep, I'm glad they at least gave him his old entrance back
Right. That's
with
a
the black
start.
with the black and white. And I really hope that I feel like it's only a matter of time. He's too organically over for
Hmm.
them to be so blind where they don't push him. And Triple H and his whole team around him, I think, are a lot smarter than people give them credit for, especially Triple H. I
Hmm.
think it's just time and place. I think they'll pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, hopefully they pull the trigger soon. So, but yeah, for our next episode, we'll cover all things Money in the Bank. So we'll see what we go from there. And then right before we play our game, our last topic of the evening is we are one fourth of the way done with WWE. So I was going to ask you, what are kind of like your overall thoughts? Like, what do you have a favorite match? Actually, I'll just ask you these three things: favorite match of the year so far, and who's do you think's been the MVP for both the men and the women so far? One fourth of the way.
All right, so my favorite match, I got like three or four that are right there, man. The first
I
one that
know.
pop, the first one that popped in my mind is a TV match. It's not a PLE match.
Okay, I'm
Uh,
intrigued.
and that is the Madison Square Garden cage match between CM Punk and Seth Rollins on Raw.
Good choice.
I loved the build to it. It's Madison Square Garden, and they throughout the night they would show clips of older cage matches in the Garden on
Hmm.
the WWE Vault YouTube channel, which I highly recommend everyone subscribe to the WWE Vault channel and their WCW channel, where every day they upload old content,
Hmm.
which is amazing. What they did was they had a like 2 or 3 hour video drop of just all Madison Square Garden cage matches, and it really pumped you up for that match. I loved Roman Reigns coming in at the end to really kind of solidify that was going to be a three-way match at WrestleMania.
Hmm.
Um, and that was one of the best cage matches I've seen in a while. It was the
Yeah.
best. It was definitely the best cage match of that week. Uh, because there was some other cage matches
Oh, it
in
was like Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher.
yeah. No. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But no,
Um,
I can I just compliment of what I love most about that cage match.
tell me,
What's a cage match supposed to do?
keep people inside, man, and settle it right.
Exactly, and beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
Not trying to escape, which I always hate that escape gimmick that Vince McMahon always loved to play with his
Even
cage matches. But like this one in particular, they try to say, "Hey, leave the cage or I'm going to beat the hell out of you. And like, nope, close the cage. We're going to keep fighting, motherfucker. And
Loved
I
it.
loved it.
That was right there might have been my favorite of the year. The three-way Punk Rollins Roman at Mania.
Hmm.
I really love the three-way at NXT, Stand and Deliver.
God, that came out of nowhere for
That
me. I
came out
wasn't
of
expecting them to go that freaking hard, and they
yeah,
did.
yeah. Um, and then the big ladder match at Stand and Deliver with the women, I thought was
Oh yeah.
also that was also fantastic. Um, so take your pick of any of those. I'll just
Actually, I'm not
if
gonna
I have to
pick.
pick
I'm not gonna pick any of them because you know who I would go with.
who,
I would go with the other triple threat at WrestleMania: Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and
fantastic.
Io Sky. I think that was the best women's match I've ever seen in my entire life because I was literally on the edge of my seat, like, who the fuck is going to win? Like, because I had no idea who was going to win. Of course, I picked right and got Io to win, but there were a lot of times
Yeah,
where I really thought Io was going to lose that match. So that match was just, it was perfect.
and it I thought it was much better than the other women's title match at WrestleMania.
Oh, 100 times better.
Yeah, the Tiffany Stratton Charlotte match felt very clunky. I didn't think it was
Hmm.
terrible, but it was just there was it felt like there was some communication problems in putting that together where the three-way was it was so smooth.
Hmm.
It was effortless, and
Yeah,
everyone knew it. They flowed well together.
yeah, and that's the thing you taught me, and I actually just because of our conversation, that's where I actually paid more attention to, and that's why honestly I didn't like the women's match at Backlash because there's some times where you could tell there's a communication issue, and you could tell they are actually really moving slow, and it's very noticeable. You really can't make it that noticeable, but that triple threat main event match between those three women, the communication was perfect, and
Yes.
they never slowed down. Every like you said, it flowed perfectly.
At the end of the day, wrestling's supposed to look. It's supposed to look real.
Hmm.
Now, of course, there's going to be different styles which look a little bit more ridiculous, and you have to suspend disbelief. But the best type of wrestling is when you're watching it and you feel like it's just really happening, and there's
Right.
no BS around it. And it's so hard to think about the best women match I've ever seen, but it was definitely the best women's match I've ever seen at WrestleMania
Hmm. Agreed.
by far. As far as my MVPs go, well, we know where I'm going with the women. Liv is my girl. I can't go anywhere else. She's making this Judgment Day storyline relevant and fun. She's really rubbing off the Dom. I think her work has been really top notch. She did such a great job in the Elimination Chamber.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see her uh, more. I like that she's still holding the tag belts. Um, so we'll
And
see how.
that's and the thing with Liv, I'll just tell you this: I wasn't big on Liv, like because I just figured that she just got her opportunity just because she accidentally hurt Rhea Ripley and she just got shoved in, and they could tell a good story with it. I was just always curious if you take away the whole Rhea thing, what's Liv Morgan going to be? And guess what? Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, she proved me wrong, and I officially became Team Liv Morgan after Elimination Chamber. So I definitely agree. Even though I have a different wrestler, but Liv Morgan is an excellent choice.
Yeah, who did you put on your
I
women?
right now I put Io Sky because I think she's just on the top of her game right now. I just think she's done phenomenal work. I think
Yeah,
she's finally getting rewarded for all of her times putting other people over. So I think she's doing amazing things right now. And my honorable mention is Stephanie Falcure as well because what she is doing in that NXT Women's division and just how quickly she's made that impact has been nothing but spectacular. Her match with Julia on Roadblock,
mm.
great.
Can't say anything against that. I mean, it's nice to see a lot of the younger talent get an opportunity and then run with it.
Hmm.
And the sky's the limit.
Oh,
The
I'm
sky's the
just
limit.
telling you, be careful with the women. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But who's your men's MVP?
My men's MVP might be a slight hot take because it's not a wrestler.
Oh, oh, are we going with Paul Heyman?
We're definitely going Paul Heyman. Paul
Hey, I'm
Heyman.
not mad at that.
Paul Heyman has a is very special, and he's been very special his entire career. The first time I ever saw Paul Heyman was around 1989 in the NWA when he was managing the Samoan SWAT team, who later became the Head Shrinkers, who
Hmm.
were bloodline family members. After that, he was the manager of one of the most underrated factions in all of wrestling in WCW called the Dangerous Alliance, with Steve
Hmm.
Austin and Arn Anderson and guys like that, Rick Rude, and of course everything he did in ECW and Brock Lesnar and Roman. His ability to tell a story and to convey that story in a believable way is something that can't be just taught at the performance center. You just have to have it in you. You have to know how to convey your emotions that way. He
Hmm.
is so believable. And what he did 2 weeks ago on Raw, when he was across from Jey
Jay,
Uso, and
yeah.
he was just, his face was beet red more than the tan. And he was just passionately explaining why he was right in his actions in turning on Roman and turning on Punk and aligning with Rollins.
And that's the
You know,
thing. Quit, stop him when he's telling lies.
yeah,
He's not told one lie.
no, and you know, I love watching wrestling matches. I think they're very athletic. I love whether it's men or the women, the ability to work together to put on a performance that's believable. But just having that gets old because if it's just that, it's just a exhibition of holds and moves. What
Hmm.
makes all of this compelling is the stories that are told around it and during it in the ring. And while he's not a wrestler, I don't know if there's a better storyteller or a better conveyor of telling a story
Right.
than Paul Heyman. And whether he's a manager or he's a promoter trying to sell his product in like in ECW, or an announcer, which he did well too.
Hmm.
I just think that he's at the top of his game amazingly after all these years. And anytime he walks out to that ring, grabs the microphone, you shut up, you put down your phone, and you listen.
Every
And,
single time I put up my phone.
and that's why he's my MVP here so far.
Dude, that's such a damn good one. Now I'm going to feel stupid for just giving even mine because I'm not going to compete with that. But if I am going to say one, I think my MVP right now is Seth Rollins.
Okay, yeah,
Because what he's doing currently and what he did with the whole CM Punk rivalry that began this year with the match on Raw, the cage match, just storytelling again. Like I think he's just done great. Like Seth Rollins is one of those hidden MVPs of actual professional wrestling. He's a hidden MVP of all of professional wrestling. And an honorable mention, just because I feel bad for the guy right now, I'm going to give it to Gunther because anything Gunther does in the ring is always spectacular. And just his mic skills have actually surprisingly increased leading up
yes,
to
they have.
WrestleMania.
I agree. I agree. That was kind of one of his knocks, I guess, was he's just a really good in ring wrestler.
Hmm.
But
And it
what
doesn't
else?
work with WWE, but I think he
He
proved us wrong.
Yes, he definitely has. He's going to get another run at the belt. Like I said, I think they're going to put him in the program with Goldberg. He's going to retire Goldberg, and that's going to be part of his deal.
Or go to
Uh,
the draft and go back to SmackDown and go win the WWE title.
yeah, if you remember, I don't know if you remember this. I want to say it's about 2 years ago. They had Bret Hart on Raw,
Hmm.
and if anybody doesn't know, legitimately Bret Hart hates Goldberg, uh, and part of it is because Goldberg was the main reason why Bret Hart had to retire. He was careless in a savate kick that he gave to Bret, and
Hmm.
it literally gave him a concussion and screwed up his neck, and he hates him. They did a promo here in the ring about 2 years ago. Bret's in the ring, and Gunther gets there, and Gunther
Actually, it happened last year.
was it last year? I
I'm
thought
pretty
it was
sure it
2 years.
happened last year because because that's pretty much how the whole Bill Goldberg thing actually
Yeah,
started.
yeah. And I remember in the ring, and he goes, "Brett, you're like my second favorite wrestler growing up. My first one." was Bill Goldberg.
Oh my
Just to,
god, I busted out laughing. I thought that was so
yeah,
fucking
because that's
hilarious.
such a troll job on Brett, and I don't even think they probably didn't even tell Brett about it. But I
Oh
feel like they're
man.
going to use that as part of Gunther's, deal with
Yeah,
Goldberg.
especially with Goldberg having that ring interaction with Gunther too. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's why
yes,
I'm afraid it is going to happen.
he's
But
gonna
I
retire.
just think
Yeah, they're not having Goldberg go over, man. No way.
I hope so. Like I truly do, man. But God, dude, Paul Heyman, what a great answer for men's MVP because now I feel stupid for Seth Rollins. So, but good one there. So are you ready to play a game?
Let's go.
All right, let's play a game and then we will get out of here. I know we're getting close to the 2 hour mark, which in the future we just had to start at 9 because I had to do a stream earlier. So we're hoping next month we can go back to 8 o'clock, so
Yeah.
it's not too late for everybody. So let's go to our game. It's called WWE releases. We talked about the releases earlier, so now I'm going to ask you, with the current group that we have in WWE right now, 5 people
Woo.
that truly deserve to be released right now.
So we're gonna do Raw, SmackDown, NXT.
If you want to do that, I did Raw and SmackDown only, but if you want to include NXT, because I know you watch regularly, so you have a better opinion on that than I do, go for it.
I think people are gonna not be. Some people have made a big deal out of this because you don't see him on TV now, but he's still part of the show. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Omos match?
Oh my God. The one with Brock Lesnar.
Okay, so Omos needs to go.
But it was for Brock Lesnar. It wasn't for Omos, so
Yes, I think Omos is a guy that needs to we move on from him. I don't know why he still has a job. I don't get it.
Mhm.
It makes no sense to me. He had been wrestling in Pro Wrestling Noah in Japan to try to get him some more skills. They pulled him out of that around Royal Rumble time, and he's been sitting in catering. So
Yeah, and
I
they
just
took
don't
away his
understand.
mouthpiece. So what the fuck are they going to do with him?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Fire away with one of yours.
Okay, one of mine. I'm not sure if you're going to remember this girl wrestler who's
Okay.
on the Monday Night Raw roster technically, and she
Hmm.
even got drafted from NXT to Monday Night Raw. She had maybe one or two matches, and all of a sudden, nowhere to be seen or nowhere to be heard of. And I say, if you're not going to use her, get rid of her. So give me Kiana James.
Exactly. Where is this girl done? You're talking about people that are sitting in catering, collecting dust, right?
Yeah, and
Essentially.
collecting a paycheck. Get them the fuck out. Like I don't. I want you to go earn your paycheck.
Yes. Yes. I agree with that. I have no issue with that one at all. Um, and once again, that comes down to a lot of this young talent, especially on the women's side, who are going to be coming up.
Hmm.
And
And you got to make room.
yeah, this next one that I was thinking about, I part of me didn't want to go here because I like the uh, the Wyatt Six that they brought in. It was a nice little homage to
Hmm.
Bray Wyatt. They've been off TV for 7 or 8 months. They bring Alexa Bliss back last week.
Yeah,
She,
last week with the old man.
she's not with them in any way, and I just don't see why they're keeping some of these guys around.
Hmm.
Um, I th- my biggest one is
I think Gacy has the better potential out of
well,
all of them, if you
and
ask me.
that's why my pick from that would be Eric Rowan.
Right,
He
that's a
he
good one.
he's only going to be relevant if this group continues, and if this group is not going to continue, what are we doing?
Right.
I think he would serve himself much better working on the indies, using his name. I could even see him in working TNA a little bit or something. But right now he's just another guy clogging up a spot, and I
Hmm.
don't see a future. I don't see a future for him anywhere. If the
No.
if they're not going to use this Wyatt Six in a meaningful way.
And they're supposed to come back at any time, but I'm just at a point now where I think it's just too late for them, to be honest. Like, I
Yes.
think we tried it, and that's the other thing too. You bring them back, who are they supposed to feud with right now? You
Yeah.
got nobody they can feud with.
No.
So my next one, again, it's just we gotta make room for those women wrestlers. So I'm gonna have to let go of another woman wrestler, and I'm gonna be removing BFAB, just because she's got an interesting look to her, but I think just what made her special is for the fact that she was supposed to be in that stable with Swerve Strickland
Hmm.
when they first got brought up. But ever since all that aura is gone, I think she's just okay in the ring, and I see no future for her. So it's time to just let her walk and try in the independents or whatever she wants to do in the future.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let's stick with the women. There's a woman wrestler who I think doesn't really serve too much of a purpose. She's only there because of some familiar connections. I'm not a fan, and I haven't been a fan for this whole run. I think it's time, especially if we're thinking about bringing in younger talent, especially in the women's division, that Nia Jax hits the bricks.
Yeah. I wish you know what? I'm actually going to change one on my list so I could just include her because I so agree with that.
Yeah, I just can't with her.
Same. I'll just go ahead and just ride those coattails right there. I'm picking Nia Jax as well. I'm going to be taking off one wrestler and actually, what? I'll combine it as a tag team because I meant to tell you I got like two tag teams. So that's a 2-for-1 special. So, but yeah, I'm definitely doing Nia Jax because just again, what's appealing to her? Are we really expecting her to be Tiffany Stratton for the women's title? It's just for a match for Tiffany to get over before her next feud. After that, what's Nia Jax going to do? She ain't going to hang around in the mid card. Just get rid of her. The only reason she's got a job in the first place is because of The Rock.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Um, it would be on you, I guess, on this next one, right?
Well, I just did like Nia
Oh,
Jax, so
okay.
that's three for me. So it's back
Okay.
to you again.
All right. So I like these two guys. I just think that their spot is overplayed and not really useful anymore. Um, and I think this LWO kind of faction is floundering and not doing much. Santos Escobar, I really like. I want to keep him. I like Andrade. I think there's a lot there. But you got these other guys with him. This Umberto.
Oh no, not Berto.
I
Berto's
li-
actually been doing some good stuff right now.
I like him, but I feel like what is their purpose there? They're bringing in Phoenix now. They have brought in
Triple A.
Penta. Well, I'm talking about keeping them on the main roster. They're gonna bring in other top. I'm sure you're gonna see other AAA guys
Hmm.
work around, which pushes them further.
Right.
And I just don't see them having a big spot on the card anymore, or even in the middle ground. And that
Hmm.
doesn't mean I don't like them. I think they can work, but it's one of those things where maybe we don't have anything for you now, and maybe you can go somewhere else. Would love to see them in a TNA for a while and get some
Right.
run and get some burn on the weekly show.
Especially Berto.
Yeah, I just feel like, especially with their connections with TNA, I think that would be a better spot for them.
Yeah. Angel Garza, I had high hopes for him at one point when he did the whole gave the rose thing to Charlie Caruso
Mm.
because I thought that was such an interesting story, and all of a sudden they just dropped it, and I was
Mhm.
really disappointed because I was like, hey, this could be an interesting like character with Angel Garza. I think what Berto's doing right now is great work,
Yes.
so I'm gonna beg you to reconsider after I give you my tag team of who should be fired.
All right,
And
I'll
you
see if I can
mentioned
reconsider.
and you mentioned LWO, which I thought you were going to go somewhere in particular, but you threw a curveball at me and said
Mhm.
you did Phantasma. I got Joaquin Wild and Cruz del Toro, the two lackeys of the LWO of Rey Mysterio's group. I think they need to go just because to me they're a waste of space, and you can replace them with the AAA talent.
That's fair. I wouldn't mind doing that. I would no issues with that. I have no
Just
issues with
because,
that.
like, again, what's their high ceiling? They've never been in the Raw title picture or tag team title picture. They've never gotten
And
an
they're not going to be.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Exactly. So just get rid of them
Yeah.
because the tag team division shit anyway, and we'll do that for another topic. So, like, why have a tag team division right now anyway?
All right. So my last spot, um, our truth is a lifer. He's not going anywhere, and I wouldn't send him anywhere.
No, so you better not. I will end this show right now if you did our truth.
No, no. I think he is kind of. You always kind of want to have one guy who's kind of like comedy relief.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
especially what he's getting ready to do with John Cena.
Yeah, but I don't think you need more than one guy. So I'm kind of thinking about who's kind of used as comic relief, who never really is put in any matches, who doesn't have a physical stature where you can plug him into other things. And then I look at, you know, maybe a group that has overstayed its welcome and who's done. So I think I would, get a one-way ticket to Japan for Mr. Tozawa.
Oh my god, dude, that was my last one. But so I can fit Nia Jax, and this is where I'm probably going to get some heat. I say Otis and Tozawa. You need to go
Mhm.
ahead and release because yeah, it's like you said, they had their moments. Otis had his big moment with Mandy Rose, and then he had his whole big moment with Chad Gable, which unfortunately kind of did nothing for anybody.
Right.
So yeah, just let them go. Or Maxine Dupree's going to stay. I bet you next year she'll be the next round of cuts. I guarantee it. But I think she's only staying because her boyfriend's in the developmental program right
Yeah.
now.
hmm So yeah, I think we're not saying we want to see anyone get fired. This is just hypothetical before people get upset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, we don't mean it, like, but if we had to be bookers and
Yeah,
we
we're
had to
just
increase
talking
our
about
roster,
people that we think are just not doing much and are not going to be doing much. Um,
exactly. So just actually we're giving them better opportunities to go make us something for themselves
yeah.
elsewhere.
And I think for us, I would give all the names that we mentioned. We would keep if they got rid of Nia Jax. Her, we mean her. She can go. She's the one that can actually go.
Yeah, she can legitimately go fuck off.
Yes,
Like I'd rather keep Kiana if it's between Kiana James and Nia Jax. I'll keep Kiana James just because she could be my secretary with her whole gimmick.
that's
Which
fine.
again, that was a cool gimmick, but they're not doing anything. So yeah, Nia Jax, go. So yeah, that is our game. And Robbie, for the next episode, I'm gonna let you think of the game. So you go ahead and start thinking what game you
I
want to play.
will.
That
I
could be
will.
like Guess Who. It could be a scenario like this. Anything to your heart's desire. We'll flip flop between turns.
That sounds like a
So
plan to me, man. I'm looking forward to it. I think this was a great first show.
hell yeah, it definitely is. So we're in our final bell segment. So do you have anything else to say before I do my whole spiel to end the show?
You know what? I just think over this next 2 months, 3 months as we head into SummerSlam, WWE is really on fire right now. We have Saturday night's main event coming up. We have NXT doing Battlegrounds. We have
Hmm.
the AAA When Worlds Collide show coming with Money in the Bank, and that leads into
Hmm.
the 2 night SummerSlam. So they're going to be putting the foot on the gas in every brand, and it's definitely going to be worth keeping an eye on. And like I mentioned
Oh,
earlier, if anybody wants a little something new to watch wrestling wise, give Evolve a shot. It's about 45-50 minutes. It's Wednesdays at 8 o'clock. It's on Tubi, but
it's
it's
for
not.
free.
It's for free, and it's not. That's when the show drops. It's not just gonna play once. You can watch it anytime you
Hmm.
want, right from there, and it's gonna show a lot of these younger people that we're talking about who are gonna be moving up to the to the main roster. You're gonna get a shot to see them there, and there are some kind of veterans that kind of peek in and out of this show. Uh, Alexis King will be on the show this week in a big match.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
yep, he's working against a guy named Sean Legacy who was on NXT in the Big Battle
Yeah,
Royal 6 ago.
and he's somebody I'm keeping my eye on because I see a big future for him.
Yep.
There's some big black guy with dreads and everything. I think he's
Mhm.
another one to look out for. For the women, I think that like the first girl. Like I can't remember her name, but
Kylie
she kind of looks like a Cord or not Cord J, but
Kylie Ray. You're thinking
no, which I'm so happy for her after how she got treated by Chris Jericho. I'm so happy for her. I think
she's
she's going to be a
very
big
good.
player.
She's
Yeah.
doing good stuff in Evolve. I'm telling you, man, it's a quick watch.
It's the black girl that kind of looks like Cora Jade.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes. Yep.
I think she's got big potential. So yeah, and also with Evolve too, that they just released their new titles, and I'm sure they're about to do tournaments soon. So
They are.
perfect time to start watching.
Yeah, it really is. 45 minutes. It's a quick watch. I watch it on a Wednesday after work while I'm eating dinner, and it's just quick and easy.
Yeah, hell yeah. So I'm going to be adding that to my regimen, and I got nothing else to say on that. Do you? Are you good?
And I think we are good to go, brother.
All right, we've been talking for a while, and guys, we appreciate you listening to us. If you've been here the entire time, or if you're watching after the fact, just let us know. What do you think about our show? Do you love our show concept? And if you have any kind of comments you want to leave about our topics, leave a comment down below because it does help push this video and us to beat the evil algorithm. And you can also help by liking this video, sharing, and subscribing because every little detail helps pushing this show forward. And me and Robbie want to make this show as good as we can possibly can. And Byron, I saw your questions. I am so sorry we couldn't address them right now, but we are going to have an opportunity for you all to be asking us questions, and we will be having a mail segment where we'll just draw
Perfect.
random like questions out of the hat, like maybe 2 or 3 questions, and we'll answer them that way. So there will be opportunities for that, Byron. I promise you. And even I'll just to start out, I will let you ask one question and we'll
Yeah.
start it out. And the rest of them could be the draws. So we just stay tuned onto a social media posts on Bert's Corner or just my personal profiles. You all know where to find me. And Robbie, just in case, are you back on the YouTube game or just anything
Ne-
you want to promote?
well, next month I'll be restarting the reboot of the YouTube channel. Going to be doing a lot of horror stuff over there. I'm really excited about it. Taking a little bit of a layoff, but it's time to get back into the game.
Nice.
I got too much to say.
Hey, that's always a good thing, man. You should don't keep it in. Always say it, my friend. So
That's it.
again, I'm happy to do this show with you. I've had an amazing time. I think
All
this is
right.
going to be only just the beginning. And
Yeah.
if I was a professional like Tony Khan, I would have the final bell to ring before we get out here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and end it. I promise I have the bell next week. And guys, we will see you all next month for the next Ring the Bell.